My man, Chase Hooper, local legend.
Oh, I'll take it.
Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate you stopping by with the MIGHTYcast. How's everything going, man?
Good. Yeah, just in the midst of fight camp, just trying to get the weight down and get the instincts back up, just sharpen up, get ready for April, and yeah, having a good time.
Yeah. So this is one thing I always find fascinating is like in Puyallup, where we live, well, Puyallup, Washington State, I feel that the area of Pacific Northwest, there's not a real big mixed martial arts scene, right? Like at the very beginning for me, I trained at Vision Quest at Auburn, and then eventually it was a satellite gym, and that's where I met Jeff Hoagland, your coach. And he almost broke my arm one time. We were sparring. He goes, "You're not gonna break me." And I was like, "Oh, Joy, I didn't want to break you, but I'm just trying to get some rounds in." But there wasn't really a big scene. How did you get linked up with Jeff Hoagland? Because, like I said, for me, I didn't even know who Matt Hume was until I did one of the amateur fights. I knew he was the owner of AMC, but my first coach was Steve Skids, Luke Pittman. How did you find your home with Jeff?
Yeah, so honestly, I got really lucky, really fortunate. My dad actually ended up working with Jeff when he moved up here from California, and it was during all the 2008 stuff. They both got laid off at the same time, and you know, instead of getting back into a regular job, Jeff was like, had already kind of started, you know, trying to make a gym. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to launch it. And, you know, that was his sign. And then I got brought in with my sister to jiu-jitsu. And I was about 8 years old. And honestly, yeah, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was really my only sport that I'd ever done. And I didn't really know what UFC was at the time. I honestly, like in my head, when I pictured it, I thought it was going to be like karate and stuff. Like when we were going in there, I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. I don't think most people did at the time. I mean, it was 2008. I was 8 or 9 years old, and yeah, I mean, the gym was right down the road, right in Enumclaw. Got super lucky with that, and I mean, it was walking distance. So you know, some Saturdays, like in high school and stuff, I'd like walk to the gym in the morning and all that. So it was, I was really fortunate for the location, and then I got to watch his UFC career. Yeah, all in little old Enumclaw.
And that's the only sport you ever did. You never did basketball, football, baseball, none of that. So you jumped in right at 8 years old, right into jiu-jitsu or to mixed martial arts?
Right to jiu-jitsu, and then the striking stuff came a little bit later. Yeah, I mean, I played a couple sports in middle school, and I was like, meh, not really my thing. You know, hopping right into the jiu-jitsu full time, and then yeah, MMA more when I was closer to like 14, 15. And yeah, I mean, the rest is history.
Damn. And then when did you take your first amateur fight?
My first amateur fight, I think I was around 16. I had to keep doing them on like the casino shows. It was such a weird dynamic because it was like I couldn't get licensed in the state because I wasn't 18. And then at the casinos, they were like escorting me around because they're like, you can go from the back to the cage and then you got to go immediately back. Because obviously I was underage and they knew it. So they're like, all right, you know, we need you just there and back, and then you got to leave. Yeah. But yeah, I had 6 amateur fights, and then right when I turned 18, hopped into the pro circuit, and yeah.
So just to give you guys context about how it works in Washington State. Back in my day, when I was a lot younger, there was no I guess you say athletic commission, essentially, that was overseeing all the fights. And then as time went on, they made a mandate, I don't know, I guess you say a mandate, that at 16 years old, that if you were going to fight mixed martial arts, you would have to have, especially nobody would license you because it just wasn't, the age wasn't right. But on a casino, when it's owned by the Indians, they can run their own show. And so, but in a casino, you have to be 21 and over in order to be there. So they're like, hey, we're gonna escort him back and forth between the cage and the back of the room so then he can catch his ass gambling.
Yeah. Or drinking or whatever, you know, it's on them if it's, you know, if that happens. But yeah, I was just there to fight. So
yeah. Now you said your sister was in the gym too. Does she compete or does she still train now or no?
No, she I think she moved out at 17. She enlisted, she went to the Marines, and then she got stationed in Hawaii and stuff, got married, has kids. Now she's somewhere on the east side of the state, just living the mom life, you know, and yeah, I can't blame her for it, you know, just live some sort of stable life, and I can't complain.
Okay. Now you started doing the You did the amateur, and then you started doing the pro circuit around here. You fought at Emerald Creek Casino. I think you fought a couple of my opponents. You fought Drew Bookershire, didn't you?
I did. That Drew fight was actually, I took it on 2 hours notice, and that's
Oh shit, 2 hours notice?
Yeah, I'd fought, I think, like a week before, literally, and went through the guy, first round finish, whatever, and then we'd actually trained the Saturday of the fight, and then I was at home, whatever. I just fought. I was just kind of hanging out, whatever, but still training like normal. I didn't have anything else to do.
Yep.
And then Jeff called me, and he's like, "Hey, you don't have to take this fight, but I wouldn't have called you if I didn't think you could win." He's like, "Is Drew, who's, I think he was like 13-4 or something at the time, like pretty good record."
Yeah.
And I was 2-0, 3-0 at the time, and he's like, "Main event, it's gonna be 5-5s. I think they offered to pay me $2,500 flat, and at the time, I was actually supporting myself, paying all the bills at the time. So I was like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
$2,500. So I was like, I'll do it.
On 2 hours notice,
Yeah. And we went 5-5s. We went the whole distance. It's pretty much like, I mean, you would know 5-5s. It's like Groundhog Day for me, at least. It was like, oh, we're back in the corner again.
Yep.
Oh, we're back out. Like, it just felt like it was so repetitive. And then, got the win. And it was probably like a week later, I got an email from Sean Shelby, and he was like, "Hey, no guarantees, but would you want to be on the Contender Series?" And I was like, "Yeah, 100%. I'll take whatever you can give me."
Damn. So that was, you took that fight on 2 hours notice?
Yeah.
What were you doing when he called you? Were you playing Halo?
Probably. I mean, I was just kind of hanging out. I just trained in the morning, and then I was at home. I think my girlfriend, my wife now, we were gonna go to like IKEA and pick out some furniture because we were moving in together. And then I was like, "Hey, I can't go to IKEA." But the plus side, they're gonna give me $2,500. We'll be able to ball out at IKEA afterwards.
Yeah.
And hey, it worked out.
That's fucking dope. I didn't know that, because I mean, I trained with Drew Brokenshire from the very beginning of my career, and now we train together now at Grapple Club.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you took that fight on 2 hours notice, and that's what got you the opportunity to get into the Dana White Contender Series. And Sean Shelby reached out to you via email, or was it your manager who did that?
No, it's through my email. It was like,
how the fuck he get your email?
A little bit before I got hit up by some weirdo on Facebook Messenger or whatever. And it was like, "Hey, I'm a talent scout for UFC. Like, this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But if you just give us your email, give us your contact information." And I was like, "Okay." Probably a scam, whatever. But I guess not. Hey, if it was a very, very happy coincidence.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they got ways.
And then that's how, so it dropped in your email. You got the opportunity to go to Dana White Contender Series. Talk to me about that, going from, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity to go from, there's so many fighters around here, as you know, in a local scene. They fight amateur, then they go 6-0, 10-0, whatever it may be. They get to the Emerald Creek Casino, the local circuit, the pro circuit, and then they don't do very well there. They do well, but nothing ever matures of that. Nothing ever comes out of that. So what was that like for you once you got that email from Sean Shelby? You're like, "Oh, well, I guess that scam was a good scam."
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. They already had another fight scheduled, and I was like, "Hey, do you want me to cancel the fight?" Like, hoping that they'd be like, "Yeah, okay, just come on a Contender Series in June." But he was like, "Nope, do the fight." And they were like, "We'll move you back to July." I was like, "Fuck." I was hoping, the amount of pressure going into that fight had like tripled.
Yeah.
I was fighting another, 4-0 kid at the time. I think I was, 3-0, whatever. And I was like, damn, if I lose this fight, there's no way they're going to give me a contender. Like, the other kid's probably going to get it.
Yeah.
But won that fight. And then, I know it was a huge step up. I mean, it was cool because at the time, that second season, it was filmed in like the Ultimate Fighter, the tough gym.
Yep.
So it was cool to see, like, the door that Rampage, ripped down, or, the replacement door in that area. But just all the history and all that, it was a huge step up. I think, I don't know, I try to think that the pressure didn't get to me, but I'm sure it did a little bit. Fighting another, young, hungry kid that also wants it just as bad. I mean, it's a hell of an opportunity. It's the world's, scariest job interview.
Yeah. Well, the fact that at that time, you were 20 years old, 19? How old were you?
I was 18 on
You're
the Contender.
18.
Yeah. I was a pro for 6 months when they offered me Contender because of the Drew fight.
Yeah. But think about that. 18 years old. You made $2,500. You go to IKEA, you're balling out.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get the call, you get the email from Sean Shelby, hey, we want you to, Dana White Contender Series. Do I need to cancel this fight or not? Nah, go ahead. Everybody's like, fuck, I better win this fight now. And then you get there at 18 years old. I think anybody who's 18 would have a lot of stress and be nervous, because I didn't get there until I was like 23 years old, right? So I was a little more mature, like almost what your age is now. But I mean, you look at that. So you get there, walk me through that Dana White Contender Series, like that experience, because now back in my day, it was you just got into UFC. There was an Ultimate Fighter, but not for smaller guys. But for you, now you see Dana White Contender Series, it produces champions.
Yeah.
Right? So talk to me about that experience you doing Dana White Contender Series.
Yeah, I remember actually the first season, it was after O'Malley's fight, and my coach was like, that's your way in. We're not bothering getting you on tough. I wasn't sure if you had to be 21 or whatever at the time for the Ultimate Fighter. It might have been because all the alcohol in the house, whatever. He was like, Contender Series is your way. That was, well before, like right when I was starting out pro. And then, yeah, we got it. And honestly, the thing that I remember the most was having to do the P test in the back for Contender. Like, I'd never had to do a drug test or anything like that before. I was very P shy. And
some guy was like, I'm gonna look at your penis.
I was like, 18-year-old kid. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
But, that was pretty stressful. I was chugging water. And then I ended up being like, because I was the very first fight of the night, and I was probably one of the last guys to be able to pee in that cup finally. Like, I just had to wait until I had to pee bad enough that I was able to overcome that. And then I literally, between rounds of pads, like I'd be like hitting pads for 2 to 3 minutes and like, okay, I got to run to the bathroom again.
Yeah.
That was my whole warm up for the fight. And then
when we went to the bathroom, were you pooping, shitting, or were you
just peeing? I was
peeing?
I was just so full of water.
Oh, okay,
I
gotcha.
chugged so much trying to make that happen. And then and at that time too, there was like a couple tickets. I think they gave me like 4 tickets, I guess, kind of like they do now.
Yeah.
But so what? There's 5 people on the show, and then so there's like 20 people watching.
Yep.
And then it was a very intimate feeling, I guess. No walkout music for that either.
Yeah.
Just like Tough, like all you hear is the door opening when you're going through. And I'd actually kind of a weird connection. My wife's like her dad was good friends growing up with Jens Pulver.
Yep.
And I'd met him like right before Contender Series, and he told me, he was like, hey, just so you know, Hawaiians, tough first round, he's gonna try to knock your head off. But then after that, they all gas. And I was like, okay, mental note.
Yep.
And fought a Hawaiian. He kicked the shit out of me in the first round, honestly.
Yeah.
And then he gassed. He was another young kid. He'd never been past the first round. He'd finish everybody. So that was kind of our thing, knowing going into the fight, is like, okay, you just got to get him to the second.
Yep.
I wasn't trying to get too beat up, like ended up happening, but won the first 2, or lost the first round, won the first 2 unanimously. I think they said it was like one of the first times in Contender Series where it was a 10-8 for one guy and then a 10-8 the other way afterwards.
Oh, wow. So he really did blow his fucking load.
Oh, for sure. Hey, pause, if that's what you're into. And then I was so disappointed, though, because I'd finished all my opponents. Besides Drew, we went to the decision. Other than that, it'd been all finishes, even through my amateur career. I was really disappointed after the fight. I was like, fuck, I wanted to get a finish. I wanted to get signed. But as I was getting stitched up, I had a pretty good cut. They had me laid down on the table with the doc or whatever. And then Dana came in and was like, hey, hell of a fight, kid. And the lady that was stitching me up, she was like, okay, that's probably a good sign because he's never done that before. And I mean, again, I was disappointed. I was like, whatever. And then, thankfully, instead of offering me a contract, they gave me the developmental deal. And that.
What's that?
So honestly, there's only a handful of people that have ever gotten it. Me, Mackenzie Dern, I want to say Greg Hardy got it back in the day. A couple other people, they stopped doing it. Essentially, it was really like a good step up from fighting locally. They were like, okay, you're going to fight on the Fight Pass shows. but you still get to kind of pick the fights for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
and you get paid UFC money. That was the biggest thing.
Well, hang on one second. I'm gonna make sure that mic. I want to make sure that mic is good. And then here's here to say. So there was a development program that the UFC was running at this time when you were in Dana White's Contender Series, right? I've had Brandon Moreno on before, and he talked about it. They had something like that in Mexico, like to develop the talent in Mexico.
Yeah.
So you got the opportunity to go into a development program, and you would pick your fights on a UFC Fight Pass. So I'm assuming that's like, what were those organizations?
I fought CFFC. I fought for Island Fights at the time, and the third one was Titan.
Okay.
So all like decent shows.
Decent shows, yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Decent, that local, that sub tier before they go into the bigger leagues.
Exactly.
And you were getting UFC money.
Yeah.
What's UFC money like? What was it, 10 and 10?
At the time, it was 10 and 10.
Fuck! You know how good that is?
It was amazing.
Because I know guys who are the champion at CFFC, and they ain't making no goddamn 10 and 10.
No, essentially what they told, what I heard is they told the promoters, they're like, hey, pay him whatever you're going to pay.
Yep.
We cover the rest. So it's not like the promoters were having to shell out 20 G's. Like, that's probably their whole budget for paying people.
Yeah.
But I went from, making $2,500 at the local casino for 2 hours notice for a title fight against a tough ass dude to making 5 and 5 for Contender. And then a couple months later making 10 and 10 fighting, local guys on Fight Pass. And no, it was a hell of an opportunity. We picked the first 2 fights. And then the third one, Sean Shelby was like, hey, I want him to fight this kid. And he actually, I was scared when I looked up his tapology. He had finished Sadiq Youssef. I think he like judo threw him and either blew out his shoulder or like gave him a concussion, like threw him on his head. He had a good win over Sadiq, and Sadiq was actually on my episode of Contender, and I watched his hard ass fight with Mike Davis. Like Sadiq won the fight and he was on crutches, so I was like, this is gonna be a tough ass fight. But luckily the Cuban kid that I fought in Miami, which hey, we'll be back there soon. But yeah, I was super scared. He's like a judo guy. He was a boxer. And we got to the venue and we saw him practicing like double legs. And my coach was like, yes. Like, he's like, that's the best case scenario. He wants to take you down for sure. Yeah. And I think I want to say he was like 7 and 3. All 3 of his losses though were rear naked choke. So we're like, perfect. Great matchup. I think I tried to like push kick him in the face, like the old Anderson Silva, front kick. And he caught it, took me down. He kept engaging in the grappling. I don't know why. Throughout my career, like all these people that should just like push away and stand up, they keep trying to grapple. And then it gives me enough to, snake around to the back, get the rear naked choke. And then I think we were in the Uber going back to the hotel after that. And then Sean Shelby called. He's like, hey, like you're in,
That's awesome.
I think I don't know if they booked me for December right away, but it was pretty soon after that. They're like, all right, you're going to be fighting this guy, UFC 245, super stacked card. It was Max Volkanovski won, Colby Usman won, and let's see, Mike Perry, Jeff Neal. There's so many great fights on that card. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole deal.
That's amazing, man. It's kind of amazing because obviously we grew up in the same area. Right. And obviously our times were a little bit different. I think as you got into the UFC, I was almost on my way out because you got in 2019? 19. So I was already gone by then. But I knew about you in this area because you fought Drew and I was with Drew a little bit here and there. And then I took off and I remember you got into the UFC and you were very, very young. Yeah. Very young. But at the same time, you were very well mature. Right? You think about it, like how many people get the opportunity to do a development program where they're getting good fucking money to fight. So you fight, what you say you fought 3 times before you got into the UFC?
Yeah.
So you made 10-10s, that's 20. Do you have an escalator or was it always just 10-10?
Yeah, no. So honestly, they were trying to figure out a separate contract for the developmental stuff. And they're like, honestly, it's too much work trying to figure that out. We'll just give you a regular UFC contract, call it good.
Gotcha.
So yeah, 10 and 10. I debuted in the UFC making 20 and 20. Yeah, like that's
So, and you're what? And then in those 3 fights, so you're probably what? Maybe 21 when you got in the UFC? 20 or?
I was 20 when I made my debut.
20 debut. So
yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
Oh, for sure. And it's I mean, it's just taking the opportunities that you're given, and then I mean, it's I don't know, just a series of lucky coincidences, whatever. getting me to where I am. And yeah.
And I also think that's dope is, that you're still with the same coach today. Like you and Jeff Hoagland are tight like this. I didn't know how tight you guys were until like I started doing some like Instagram stock and I was like, damn, these motherfuckers are tight. Like you've been with him since the very beginning.
For sure.
What was that feeling like when you guys, because I remember the feeling was when me and Matt got that contract. What was it feeling like for you guys to get that contract coming from an area where we're not known for producing the best fighters? We're just not, right? It's like me, Josh Barnett. And then, you had Benson Henderson, you had Jens Pulver, but those guys left.
Yeah.
Those guys all left their hometown where they started, where you're still here grinding and eating claw with Jeff Hoagland.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that we were doing the right thing. Like when he was in UFC, he had a shorter career, but he was like, okay, I did it. I know how to get people here. Like we have a good program. You just need people to follow the steps. And, honestly, yeah, I mean, just it's very vindicating, especially, you see guys go to the gym that's, the flavor of the month. They're like, oh, I'm going to go to this gym because they have a big social media. It's like, well, that coach sucks. And now you're on a 3-fight skid because you went to the wrong place. Like you should have just stayed, Loyalty's been a huge thing for me my entire career. I wouldn't want to, stay here like being in a different gym, it just wouldn't, it doesn't make sense. I feel like a lot of these super gyms are good because they're just filtering the good people from all these other gyms. Like that's just how it goes. Like you just have a real broad talent pool and then you're able to pick through who you want. Yeah. Which is way different than like building somebody up from day one. Oh. I feel like that's much more rewarding than just like, oh, this guy's already 10-0. Yeah, come over here. Yeah, we'll get you in UFC.
1,000%. I mean, like I said, you started from day one with Jeff Hoagland. Yeah. And for you guys to go through that journey together, taking a fight on 2 hours notice, going to IKEA, balling out with $2,500, and then getting in that development program under the UFC. Now, here's a question: do you think they should still have this development program?
I think I can see why they didn't do it. They probably ended up losing a little bit of money as far as that goes.
How can you say that though? Because look what they've done with you though, right?
For sure.
Let's say 3 years from now you become a massive pay-per-view star. Yeah. And then you're like selling out arenas, and I was like, we made our fucking money back. We spent a little more money in the front end to get him.
For sure.
But look what he turned out to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that's already kind of coming into fruition as far as that goes. But it's one of those things. I mean, how much easier is it for them to just do Contender Series now and like, oh, okay, you did okay, but yeah, come back. You're going to fight another fight later in the season. Like that's what they did with Bo Nickel, where if Bo had jumped in UFC a little sooner, then he might have had the developmental deal.
Exactly. But when you look at that development deal gave you the opportunity to fight a little bit more better talent. When you look at Bo Nickel's last fight when he fought, I believe it was Andrew Craig.
Paul Craig.
Same. I can't get the fucking name wrong, man. I was doing one thing there. I was like, no, it's Paul Craig. Paul Craig, if he would have had a more development prior to that fight and had to deal with the guy who does a lot of stand-up or excuse me, who's very dangerous on the ground, maybe he would have been a lot better. Now he's got all this backlash like, oh, he's not the real deal. He can't. So, I don't know. I feel, I always wanted to ask that because when you said that, I never heard of that development deal. And I think it played out very well for you because look what you were able to do, and then you got into UFC, and I feel like you're pretty well-rounded, as you're still developing in your skill set.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming in hot to UFC and like the biggest issue for Bo Nickel is he's winning all the fights. Yeah. So he's just getting this gradual steps up where it's going to be harder to, keep having these highlight finishes where you're going to get a situation like the Paul Craig fight where people are like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I've been fighting for like 2 years. Come on, dude. Yeah. Where, I had some more ups and downs in my first, couple fights in my career. And so have some of the other greats in the sport, like a Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira. Like Oliveira, I think went 5-5 in his first 10 UFC fights. Yep. I went 3-3 in my first 6. Yep. So did Max Holloway. Yep. Again, I'm not saying I'm either of those guys.
No. But it's a recurring thing that happens to the best athletes in the world of mixed martial arts.
It's just an adjustment period, and it allows you, I think, to get a little more acquainted. Like you go from, again, like the local circuit, even if it's Fight Pass. Yep. Then you drop to the UFC, like where the talent pool is infinitely deep. Like I'm in the same division as, Islam. Like what? We're fighting for the same goal, I guess, at this point. So it's kind of a weird transition period, and then it's getting past that imposter syndrome, being like, okay, I deserve this. I belong here.
Yep.
I can beat these guys. I deserve to be in this spot. I'm one of the best in the world. And yeah, I think you just need the UFC experience to prove that, or high level experience anywhere, really.
Yeah. So let's get away from the UFC a little bit. Gaming. How's gaming treating you right now? For me, it's just the game industry is dead. Okay, there's just no good games out right now.
Fair enough.
Right? Like, what are you playing nowadays?
Honestly, it's been really hard the last 9 months with the baby. It used to be way easier. Like, the wife would go to work on the weekends, and I'd spend all Saturday and Sunday gaming. I was big into Tarkov for a while. I need to get another controller again so I can play the Elden Ring DLC. I have not done that yet. Playing some Arma. I don't know. It's just...
Let me ask you a question.
All right.
How many hours you got in Elden Ring?
I'd have to look. I went through the main story once, so however long that takes, 40, 60, 80 hours, something like that.
So do you know what the fuck's going on in that game? Do you truly, without you looking up on YouTube or reading anything, do you know what the fuck is going on in that game?
So I feel like that's part of the appeal, is you're like, imagine the character in the game. He doesn't know what's going on. If you're living through the perspective.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like the Japanese, they got the wacky, like storylines, but hey, the gameplay is good. You just got to grind through that.
So you don't have a problem playing the fucking game and having no idea what the fucking premise of the story is?
The first Dark Souls, I heard somebody like describe it. So like, essentially there's like these little mobs that are like zombies. They're called like hollows or whatever.
Yep.
And the way that I heard it described is like, essentially the hollows are all the players that like had the opportunity to finish the game and they stopped at whatever point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's interesting with a game like that, like, whether that's true or not, but it's like, it's the people that have given up. So it's like, you can keep playing as long as you don't give up. And then if you give up, you turn into one of the NPCs or whatever. So I just thought that was kind of a cool thing to latch onto, but I don't know. It's all about the accomplishment of it, and like it's the grind. I mean, it's the same as this. You do something hard. I mean, maybe not the same, but it's like a little fraction of that. It's like you go in there knowing you're gonna get fucked up the first couple times, and then you come back, and then it's a big sense of accomplishment. And,
for me, it was always hard. Like, I'll sit there and play Elden Ring, and I'm like, okay, it's a dope game. Beat it twice, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I'm like, what? And I sat down, I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? I was like, who am I fighting? Who's Melina? Who's all this shit? And everyone's like, oh, we gotta go read the backstory. And I was like, what's the fucking point of me playing a game for 85 hours? It's like, when I play Onimusha 1, 2, 3, Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3, I know the premise of what the story is. And I have like maybe 60 hours in those games. So I'm understanding what's going on. But when I play Elden Ring, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, I just had to remove myself from the game. So I was like, if I'm gonna put 90 hours in a game, I need to have like, when I you play Elden Ring, you play Elden Ring, but have you played Ocarina of the Time, Zelda?
A little bit.
A little bit of it, right? But you knew what was going on. You knew, okay, the Deku tree's dying. There's a fucking 3 spiritual stones. You knew you're immersed in the world. There, I was like, this is a fucking boss simulator. You're just killing bosses left and right. You kill a boss, souls. It's like, you killed me. Take this key and go to the... None of that. And I had to call it quits.
All right. Hey, maybe it's like life a little bit, where it's like, you don't really know what's going on. You just want from thing to thing, and then you got to kind of piece it together as you go.
Oh my God. What about Tarkov? I know you're pretty fucking good at Tarkov. Why don't you play that anymore?
I mean, again, you got to really sink a lot of time into it. It's hard with the baby. Yeah, no, I had a good time. It's one of those things. There's definitely a lot more cheaters on the thing. And I don't think that's just me coping for dying all the time. But, it's hard when you get one-shotted across the map and you're like, okay, well. And you spend 20 minutes, like, gearing up. You're like, oh, I'm going to use these bullets and stuff. And, like, use this armor and this helmet, and then you just get one-shotted. That's life, though. Hey,
I did everything right, and I go to this party, and they said it was not laced with anything. I took it, and then I'm in fucking prison after doing X, Y, and Z.
All right, hey,
that's an analogy I just got from you when you said that about you're gonna get all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been laced or anything.
I think one time I have, but I'll never do it again. Okay. What do you think needs to change in the gaming industry? Because like you said, like it's really tough right now, obviously with the baby, but like I feel that maybe 2, maybe 3 years ago, it was a different story. Like game industry was like amazing. It was like, oh man, I can't wait for this game to come out. Now it's like, I don't know what game's coming out that I'm excited for. It's like, I don't know.
I think honestly, I think COVID is a big fault for a lot of this. Like same with movies. Like all the movies now suck because there's like that, 3-year period where people weren't really working that hard. Probably the same with the games industry, and people were just kind of phoning it in at home, working on their laptop. They're like, I just want to hang out, make some sourdough, whatever. That's what people were doing, and I think that really, people got kicked out of the loop, and then it's been a lot more profit driven recently, obviously, with a lot of the loot boxes, cosmetics. It's more about like, oh, what cosmetics will people pay for instead of like, what cool content can we make? I have hope for the newest Battlefield, maybe like that they're gonna hopefully listen to the fans and just give us what we had like 10 years ago, but just like polish it up a little bit. New fresh coat of paint over the same game from 10 years ago. That's all we want. And then stop trying to innovate. Stop trying to, to an extent. Keep refining, keep polishing, and then all these games are kind of funneling into making the same experience because they're like, oh, Fortnite had this, Fortnite had skins, and then now it all looks like one, big blob of just like neon colors, and it's like, all right, well that's not what everybody wants from every single game, but the 1% of people that spends all this money on the cosmetics will just do it for whatever game, I guess. So it's hard to like. It's hard to discourage that when they're making the profit from it. But I don't know. Somebody smarter than me has to figure that out.
Did you ever, now it seems like you played a lot more games that are multiplayer online, right? Have you ever found it harder to go back to playing a single player game? Like a game, where it's like, oh, you start from A and the goal is to get to Z, right? There's a storyline. It's basically mapped to like God of War, right? You can do a little, side quest, but it's pretty much A to Z. Do you find it harder going back to playing games like that? Or you're like, I need that endorphin release. I need to have that interaction, killing somebody and fucking their day up.
No, I think it's like a good mix for sure. Like sometimes I do like doing the multiplayer stuff. And other times like I'll be like, okay, I don't really want to interact with anybody. Let's just, play something single player, have a good time just by myself. I'm kind of more on the solitary end of things anyways. Like, just try to unwind and not have to worry about, coordinating anything. Just have fun, enjoy, and like, I don't know. I like the mix of both, but that's just me.
Gotcha. Okay. Speaking of side quests, recently I saw you doing an 80 XC grapple match with my boy Aljo. How did that come about, that opportunity? Because typically I tell everybody this is the best time to be a fight fan. The reason why is because back in the day, you look at maybe the early 2000, maybe 2012 to 2017, 2018, nobody was doing side quests. If you're a UFC fighter or a mixed martial artist, you were just doing MMA. For you to go off and venture do a grappling match, UFC Fight Pass, what is it called? The UFC Invitational, what they got going on now, or 80XC, or even Karate Combat, you couldn't do that. But now you're able to do that. Talk to me about your experience to go to Abu Dhabi to be able to compete in just pure grappling, which is your base.
So I got the call. I don't remember who Aljo was he might have been supposed to go with somebody else initially, but I got the call from, essentially, this is the dude, he hooked me up with OnlyFans. Oren, he's like a manager. I think he manages Aljo for some of the stuff. Anyways, he was like, hey, you want to grapple Aljo in Abu Dhabi here in January? I think I'd fought in like November, December. And I was like, I just saw Aljo, Abu Dhabi, and I was like, yep, let's do it. Whatever it takes, 100%. And I was like, who gets the experience to go to Abu Dhabi and then get to grapple, a champ at the time or former champ? I don't remember.
I think he was a former champ at the time, but he was a former world champion. So
one of the highest level bantamweights in the world. And I mean, it was cool. I got to, fly to Abu Dhabi, do that 20-hour flight. That was awful. And then we were main event too, like main event. We were the very last guys grappling the night. And it's cool to, go out there. And honestly, we had like a little mini test cut. Like I didn't have to cut a ton of weight, but a little bit. Like I had to go out there, get in the sauna for like an hour or whatever. I mean, it was cool to, just experience another culture. And that's kind of the benefit of doing these things where it's like get into work, and then also experience, another country. Yeah, it was a great time. We went to Ferrari World.
Oh shit.
What else did we do? I mean, we wanted to go like in the dunes and stuff after. I think it was the Sunday after the matches. They were like, hey, we're taking everybody to the sand dunes. We're going to ride camels and stuff. But my wife couldn't go because she was like pretty pregnant at the time. And they're like, either you got to leave her or you just can't go. And I was like, all right, I'll feel like a dick if I just leave her. Me and Jeff.
What you gonna decide, honey?
Yeah, she was like, you can go if you want. I was like, I'd feel like a dick if me and Jeff just left you in a foreign country for the entire day. To go ride camels and stuff. And yeah, but no, it was cool. It was cool getting to grapple Aljo. I mean, I felt like he was very much like an MMA grappler, which I don't know. I want guys that are trying to submit me, and I felt like I wasn't getting as much of that. He like popped something in my wrist too, which is kind of weird. There's like a little bone here that like moves around now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send him the bill for that eventually. Once
There
I
you go.
Figure out what it is, but no, it was cool. It was cool to get to experience that. And again, it's like these opportunities that just come up that weren't available before.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a hell of a time. I mean, he's a solid guy.
It's just something. It's just something that you don't back in the day you didn't get to see, right? And there's a lot of athletes who do a lot of the side quests, right? Like this has nothing to do helping you get towards, a UFC championship, right? It's like, it's an opportunity. I'm going to make, probably 10, 20 G's, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You experience Abu Dhabi and be able to keep on just building your brand as a whole. And when I see athletes doing that, I think it's good. Do you plan on doing more of that during your career if the opportunity presents itself, or you all just focus all in on mixed martial arts right now?
Yeah.
I mean, not that you weren't focused on mixed martial arts, but sometimes when you veer off, you play an Elden Ring, when you veer off to go kill fucking Melina, that's trying to get you closer to, beating, the fucking salamander boss, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where the hardest part with UFC is you're fighting on their schedule for the most part.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, hey, I want to fight right now. They might be like, we don't have anybody for you. How about this date? So I think it's staying in that competitive mindset is good regardless of what sport you end up doing. Like if I did a, competitive, table tennis tournament, like that'd still keep me in the mindset of like being competitive instead of like sometimes in the gym between fights, you're like, we're going to be kind of lazy and just kind of have fun a little more. But, having something that you're preparing for and like maybe getting the weight down, stuff like that, I feel like it's important for me. Just because like 6 months between fights is a long time. By the time I get to the next fight, I'm usually like, do I remember how to do this? Like, do I remember how to step in there and compete? And like, so I think, I'd love to keep doing these grappling things on the side. With the caveat of doing it against other UFC guys. Like, I don't want to just grapple people that are doing jiu-jitsu 100% of the time. Like,
because that's all they fucking do.
Yeah, so I got to split my time. Like a third of my time's jiu-jitsu, and then, a third's wrestling, and a third's striking. So I want somebody that's also kind of doing that. And then we get the name value, too. Like, I got to grapple Moicano. I got to grapple Clay Guida. I got to grapple Aljo. Like, these matchups that make sense. Maybe something that wouldn't happen in UFC, like if I got to grapple, like a Bryce Mitchell, somebody like that. It'd be stuff like that the fans might want to see, but it might not happen in UFC. So I think it'd be cool to, get to experience some of those and show that for the fans. And then, just stay in that competitive mindset.
Gotcha. How's your body doing right now? You've been training since you're 8 years old, doing, grappling, mixed martial arts. How does your body feel being 25 now, right? Yeah. Because I would say that's a lot of, not a wear and tear on your body, but you've been in the game a lot longer.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely wear and tear, like more in the fights. I think you just get into weird positions. Honestly, I feel like I'll have something that's like aching or bugging me, and then one day I'll just notice it's kind of gone after, like a month or whatever.
You still got that young testosterone, young boy.
Yeah, a little bit. You can see with the, Yeah, I don't know. I feel like lifting weights has really helped me, at least doing a lot more lower body stuff, like doing deadlifts, doing squats, like with a little more weight. I mean, not crazy weight, but really just like working on the form, like working with a trainer and like making sure I'm doing it right. I feel like that's strengthened up like my back, getting the glutes and all that. So I feel like I have less back pain than I used to, honestly, at least from just strictly competing jiu-jitsu, doing the MMA stuff now. So, Yeah, I feel better than I did, honestly.
How much weight do you cut? Like, how big are like? You know, you're what, 5'10", 5'11", 6'2"? What are you at?
Hey, I'll tell people 6'2".
6'2"?
Probably closer to 6 foot, 6'1".
Okay, when you're 5'3", you know, it's kind of hard to gauge how tall people are. Oh, you get that, huh?
Yeah, I can understand, you know.
So how much weight do you cut?
Well, I've cut from like 195.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
195 to 155?
Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna be finding fucking probably 170, dog. You're 25. You know, you give yourself like 4 more years of lifting, you're gonna be probably fighting at 170.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of discipline. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's just in the diet.
195.
Yeah, it's just it's hard. The puberty keeps coming along, you know, keeps kicking in, and yeah, I mean, I've grappled guys like Chiesa at welterweight, and I'm like, you know, yeah, he's not. Especially when he's like about to fight. Like when he's out of camp, he's a little bigger than me. But when he's closer to fights, like I was helping him out for the Kevin Holland fight. So like a couple weeks out, he's already also dieted down. I'm like, oh, we're about the same size now, honestly. But
yeah, he fights at 155 though.
He's a 70 now.
He's at 170 now.
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest thing that's keeping me from going up to 70 is the height difference. Like that's where you get the Kevin Hollands, the Ian Garys, the MVPs, these guys that are, you know, 6'3", 6'4". Versus, you know, lightweight, I'm on the taller end.
Yeah.
Like there's a handful of guys that are, you know, over 6 foot.
Yep.
So that's kind of the thing is that like most of my career I've been able to be the taller end of the spectrum. So I don't necessarily want to be the short guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll do what we have to do for my body to like keep the career going as long as we can. And I'm sure I'll be at welterweight someday, but
yeah, I would say you will be because being 25 and I mean, what do you walk around right now?
Probably around the same, honestly.
195?
It depends.
How much you weigh this morning?
I don't know. I didn't check this morning.
How much you weigh yesterday?
I was closer to like 190.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
40-pound cut.
Yeah.
And it ain't like you got fat on you. You're pretty,
Hey, I'll take
you know, you're
a little bit.
You're lean and
yeah.
Damn, 190.
It's just, yeah, it's a weird thing. I think honestly it just shows how adaptable the human body is. Like I feel like after fights I get more into the weights, less into like I'm not running, I'm not doing the like I do a lot of bike workout stuff.
Yep. But you're getting more dense. You're growing into your body.
Yeah. So I think though when I switch back into camp of doing the more cardio focused stuff, that's when I slim down a little bit.
Probably at 170?
Yeah, if I can go into fight week at 170, I'm happy. That was easy. 75 is my goal.
That's still fucking a lot of weight. That's still what 20, like 15 pounds, right? Yeah, 15 pounds. But you're at 175. That's still 20 pounds.
Yeah, 75 is my goal fight week. But closer to 70 is always easier. I was probably 179 fight night for the Clay fight.
Oh my God.
And that's just, you know, that's pretty standard, honestly, now, lightweight.
So what do you think about, you know, one championship, they have, you know, the hydration clause, right? So you wouldn't be able to make 155. You'd be fighting 170, essentially, which would mean to everybody else would be fighting 172. So it doesn't really make a difference. But do you enjoy cutting the weight? Do you enjoy making, I just feel like it's part of American culture, like American combat culture.
I blame the wrestlers 100%. It's all the wrestlers' fault. Like, because they're used to cutting weight on same day and then wrestling this, like a couple hours later. And then you tell them, hey, you got 24 hours. Get as big as you want. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to double. I'm going to cut as, you know, double what I was for wrestling for MMA. So I blame them 100%. But I think there's always ways around everything. Like, I mean, I haven't seen how closely they watch your pee, but, you know, I from guys that I've heard that have competed for one, I've heard that people still cut a decent amount. I mean, I could take or leave the weight cutting, obviously, but I'd rather not. I'd rather just fight, you know, my natural weight. But everybody else is doing it, so we just got caught up in the cycle, and it does make you more appreciative when you do get to eat, and you know, getting to enjoy some pizza or, you know, some dessert, something like that, and yeah, I think it's nice to have a break from just eating whatever you want all the time. Having to be disciplined a little bit and like toughen yourself up a little mentally before you have to do a cage fight. But
Do you still spar Jeff Hoagland? Like who do you train with, right? Because when I was training at AMC, we had some good athletes there, but a lot of them they weren't on. Like there's probably two professionals, Carlos Fedor and James Yang.
Yeah.
But then other than that, it was everybody else kind of like they were hobbyists. They really enjoyed mixed martial arts. For you, who's your training partners up there at the gym?
Yeah. So we honestly we have a really small team. We have 6-8 guys.
Yep.
But there's no fat. Like it's everybody on the team wants to fight. Everybody on the team's, kind of chasing the same goal. They all want to get to UFC. We have some amateur guys that are coming up. This kid Coffee, he'll probably be out in Miami. He's still amateur, but he was, I think he got like second at like Fargo for wrestling in high school. And just, he's a little guy. He'll probably be a 25er. My guy Lando, he's probably 5-1 as a pro. Same thing. Eli, he's a heavyweight though.
You can do it. You're right in between there, man.
Yeah.
190 fighting, 245.
He's a gentle giant for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But my guy Cam, who just went pro, like we have like a smaller stable of guys, but everybody is like very focused, very consistent. My guy Marco, that's been there forever. He's probably been there for 6, 7, 8 years now. And it's just, I mean, it's getting a good group of guys. And that's kind of been my goal. Like early in my career, it was literally just me and one other guy. And then when I got signed to UFC, I think he got a little pissy about it. And he was a welterweight.
Who?
I won't throw him out. He didn't really train anymore. He started beating the shit out of me when I was like 18. And he was like, 25.
Fuck him.
At welterweight.
Yeah.
Oh, I got him back a little bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I got him back like a couple years ago.
Gotcha.
But no, it's one of those things where like I had one guy to train with, and then he didn't want to train with me, and it's like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah.
But now it's been really like, at least for me, trying to have a big focus on like building a team, like feeling like building that rapport and being like, hey, like we're in the trenches together. Like I corner all their fights. Win or lose, it's, I'm right next to them. Same thing for my fights. And I feel like that's been a big thing, is just building like a team mentality.
Yep.
Even just having like a smaller number of guys. And we'll go cross-train at other gyms and we'll go spar out there. That's been the biggest thing for me, at least. But yeah, just staying home base, like with the guys the guys you can trust, the guys that aren't going to hurt you. You can still kind of turn it up with them, but
do you spar Jeff? Does Jeff still spar?
Not as much. It's been a couple years.
Yeah. I respect him. I was talking about the tournament. I was like, man, when are you gonna grapple? He goes, I don't put the fucking work in to be able to be. And I'm like, I respect that.
Yeah. No, he's just trying to keep the wheels from falling off physically right now. I mean, that's what a lifetime of mixed martial arts. I mean, he had a fight at 185. He was telling us the other day. For MMA, and like he shouldn't have been at 185.
Yeah, he's like 5'6".
Yeah, he's like 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, I give him 5'7".
5'7".
Yeah, I'll help him out. I'll help him out. Yeah, but he shouldn't have been at middleweight, and that's the thing. But that was the old school MMA. Is like, and you're fighting all these juiced up guys anyways, and especially on the local circuits, and yeah, I'm a lifetime of that. And then, training like they used to train back in the day, like not as smart. Just they used to train 6 days a week. And then on Sundays, they would go run up Mount Peak. And then they'd go run up and run down this, couple mile mountain and then go back to the gym and spar.
Wow.
Like that's how people are getting hurt though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too much wear and tear on your body. And as you get older, it's like, yeah.
Long days. I try to do like, we're sparring twice a week. The rest of the time we're doing more technical stuff, But,
nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Big fight coming up. You're taking on Jim Miller, a legend of the sport. I think he's got 100 fights in the UFC. Talk to me about this matchup. I like the matchup. I think it's good to, your progression as a martial artist inside the UFC in the rankings. You had a great last fight against Clay Guida, another guy who's been in the UFC for a very long time. Yeah. Talk to me about, this matchup between you and Jim Miller.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I feel like the fans are more confident in me than I am. That they always are anyways. They're always like, oh, you're just going to run through this guy. Like, you're going to murder him, whatever. But honestly, like, this is the toughest fight I've had so far. The people that are like, oh, you're just beating up old guys. Like, sure, Jim's on the older end of things and he has a lot of fights, but he's fought everybody.
Yeah.
And he's still doing the damn thing. Like, he's still had some great wins recently, and he's still beating up the young guys. So it's a really like it's a big step up, and I was really intrigued when UFC offered the matchup. I mean, he's left-handed, which is fun. I don't get to fight as many left-handed guys. I'm left-handed.
So southpaw versus southpaw.
Yeah, so it kind of cancels out instead of us both having the benefit. But yeah, he's fought everybody. I mean, the last 2 guys I think to sub him out were Charles Oliveira and Michael Chiesa. I like the matchup as far as, he's going to try and, get a finish, and so am I. And I feel like that leads to exciting fights, which the fans love, UFC loves, and I'm a bigger fan of that. Like, I want something high pace. I want a guy that's going to try to submit me. I want a guy that's going to try and knock me out, because I don't want to get knocked out or subbed, But, hey, it's one of those things where a guy that's thinking about offense, it's a lot easier to finish those guys than someone that's a lot more defensive and trying not to get finished. So, yeah, I think it's a really exciting matchup. He's a little shorter, a little older, but he's left-handed.
Yep.
He's got some slick guillotines. Yep. Try not to get caught in one of those.
Well-rounded, a veteran of the game. He's fought the best of the best. Been around for a long time. And, anybody can get caught in mixed martial arts. And like you said, he doesn't prioritize defense or offense. I feel like he's in a good, sweet middle where he's going to try to, knock your head off. And when he does that, that gives you the opportunity to capitalize on his overexposure himself, right?
Exactly, yeah. I feel like it's much easier to get a finish against someone that's trying to think about, beating you up than someone that's like just purely focused on defense, grappling or on the feet. Like, it's the same thing. But yeah, I'm really excited by the matchup. And again, it's the toughest one I've had so far in my career, just because he's so well-rounded. Like, before that, I would say the Vyacheslav Borshov fight was my toughest on paper. I was terrified that fight. I was like, this guy's gonna kick the shit out of me. And I was like, even if I win, I'm still gonna be limping home the next day.
Yeah.
And then went out there, made it look easy, caught him early, and the rest is history. But I mean, I'm definitely not looking past Jim. I know it's a tough fight, and I'm doing all the things I can right now. Really pushing the pace with the cardio. I'm sleeping in an altitude tent. I do that in camp.
Why? Oh, you just do it in camp? Even though you're fighting at sea level, right? Because it's in Miami.
Yeah, but so essentially, altitude tent, mine, it just kind of like tapers the amount of oxygen, so it's less than what's in the air normally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not pressurized or anything, but it'll give you the same oxygen you'd get at, right now, it's probably at 8,000 feet. Gonna work up to 10 by the end of the camp. But essentially what it does is it stimulates your body's growth of red blood cells. So same thing that EPO does. Same thing that EPO does.
But you're doing it in a natural way.
Yeah, natural, legal. How can you say, you shouldn't be doing that?
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt the difference. Like, just being able to push the pace, and it helps, keep your blood more oxygenated, because again, you have more red blood cells that are able to transport it. And
you be having sex in this tent? Or you be taking it down when it's time to do the business?
So at first we had like a big tent that went over the entire bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's like a little box that's over my head. So
really?
It's easier. We just, put it in after the fact. But when it was a full tent, it was like camping, It
reminds me of a paper bag over your head. It's like, all right, I got to have this on. I want to feel the experience of climaxing at 8,000 feet while at sea level.
Might pass out. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet.
You haven't?
Not with the tent on. We usually leave the doors open for that. When it's the big one.
I never realized that you can do that while sleeping. Because I know Rich Franklin, he's talked about like when he would train, when he had to fight at altitude, he would sleep inside a tent. And then when he would come out of the tent and train, he'll be at sea level.
Yeah.
But when you're sleeping, your blood's working on developing that extra red blood cells.
Yeah.
To get yourself ready. And you say you feel a difference. Even though when you're sleeping there, right when you come out of the tent, you wake up, your body's, adjusting right back to sea level.
Yeah, so essentially it's like, they say like the altitude masks, like the ones that people used to wear for training, like those are bullshit, because you're only wearing it for an hour.
Exactly.
But if you're sleeping at altitude for 8 hours, like that's the thing that's going to make your body have to adapt and have to, because that's when it's focused on like strictly recovery. When you make it harder for your body to recover, you're making your blood oxygen level like go down. Then it's like, okay, we got to figure this out. We got to pump the numbers up. Yeah, so even though it's, only 8 hours. I mean, that's still a third of your time.
Yep.
And yeah, I got it from Wonder Boy, actually. He was telling me he always does that in camp. And
do you do it outside of camp too, or you just do it only when you're in camp?
no, just in camp.
Okay.
The wife would probably kill me if I tried to do it year round. It sucks though. It sucks like, hey, all right, I gotta go get the tent. It's like a little box. I gotta, fuck the bed up. I gotta put it on the bed, put my pillow in there, turn it on. It's loud. It's like a CPAP machine, but like kind of reverse.
Gotcha.
Instead of giving you more oxygen, it gives you less. And yeah, I've noticed a difference for sure. Like my first fight at 55, I think I had like the second or third most strikes thrown or landed in a lightweight fight, at least differential wise. And it was like, like 120 or
goddamn.
Like I was just throwing the whole time, fighting hard for 15 minutes, scrambling the whole time, and I still felt good after the fact. So
wow.
Yeah, it's just keeping that up and trying to perform.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Let's talk about your last fight against Clay Guida. Before you fought Clay Guida, you spent some time with Dark Rigatoni, Mikey Misimichi. Tell me about it. Like when you grappled him, were you tell me about that experience that you grappled with Mikey?
Yeah, so I was out working with Fight Pass for the MSG card back in November. And they're like, hey, Mikey's here. Like, if you want to get some grappling in with him, like, we'd love to film some content. And I was like, oh, for sure. Like, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I've been a big Mikey fan, obviously. And I honestly, before the fact and after, I've always thought of him as, like, probably the best grappler in the world under, 185 pounds. You've got the Gordon Ryan question, these Craig Jones, like the big guys. But if you shrank him down to Mikey's size, I think it'd be easy for him.
Yeah.
Just his level of like understanding in jiu-jitsu is very interesting. Like it's cool. I don't usually get to feel like I'm a white belt when I'm grappling people.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did. I felt like everything I was doing was putting myself in a bad spot. And I think I swept him once or twice,
Okay,
but,
okay. You got
we
pro
rolled for
points
like
for that?
an hour. Yeah,
Yeah.
hey. But no, it was awesome. He was very polite. Didn't fuck my knee up or anything. Like, didn't rip my arm off. It's awesome having a guy of that level that's willing to train and is a great training partner.
Yeah.
And he was showing me some stuff afterwards. A little Kimura trap that he does for the arm bar.
And that's the one you hit with
Yeah, I butchered it a little bit, but
hey, did you get 50 G's for that?
Yeah, I did.
There
Yeah,
you go, right there.
Hey, we got 6 finishes in UFC and then 2 bonuses now. So hey,
That's
not
what's
too
up.
bad.
That's what's up.
Yeah, hey, it worked out, and yeah, I'd love to grapple with Mikey again. Let him beat me up. Hopefully, show me something before the Jim Miller fight.
There you go.
We'll see.
Here's a question. A couple more questions for you, man. I appreciate you giving us all this time. What did you do? I've been asking a lot of athletes, right? Usually more that are retired, but I don't get to talk to a lot of retired athletes, not just from mixed martial arts or NFL or whatever the sport is. What did you do with your very first check when you got it from fighting? Your very first check.
Very first check, honestly, it was probably 500 and 500. I think at the time I just turned 18. Honestly, I probably just threw it in the bank. I not that long after fighting, I started, having to pay all the bills. So a lot of that money was going to bills. Yeah, I think honestly, I just threw it in the bank and it probably ended up paying for the electric bill or something, over a couple months, paying the rent.
Mm-hmm.
The rent was like $845. We got a good deal on the rent, but
$845. We got a good deal on the rent, but it was $845.
Yeah, so probably went to the rent, I would say.
Okay, and what did you do with your very last check that you got recently from fighting? Not like sponsorships, but the last time you punched somebody, you got done, and it said, I don't know what the fucking check say now. Does it say Zuffa on it still, or what does it say on? I don't know.
Yeah, they just wire it.
Okay, wire. So what was the last thing you bought with that check? What did you do the last check?
I actually bought kind of a dork. I bought a ballistic helmet. I'm gonna get some night vision here pretty quick.
Oh, really?
I was like, well, I got the bonus. I'm gonna buy some stupid stuff. Bought a pistol. Why not? It's fun. It's a good time. I like guns and stuff. I like LARPing with the homies.
Okay.
And night vision, why not? Walk around at night in your house,
Fucking love that.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time somebody on this the podcast said they bought NVGs with their last check.
Yeah.
When you say a LARP, are you talking about like, shields and swords, or are you talking about like airsoft and LARPing?
No, I mean, that's just what they call it when you're kind of like, you're a dork and you're wearing like the plate carrier and the helmet and stuff and trying to go shooting.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think it's a good time. Honestly, I like wearing the like plates and stuff. It's like a workout.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let's run around and shoot at stuff. It's like just another skill and like something to learn.
You're just trying to live Tarkov in real life. Like I got the 7.632, got the B, I've got the Ignoc ammo. I got all this ammo. I got the 993, the 991.
Yeah,
it's gonna be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just why not spend your money on dumb shit every once in a while, and that's the thing is I don't know. I like guns. I think they're cool, and that's my only justification.
Yeah.
You know, hey, we're in a country where this state not as much, but we're able to, you know, waste our money on stupid stuff like that, and hey, it's the American way.
Yeah. What is your after fighting? Obviously, the goal is to become a world champion. But what is your goal outside of fighting? Right? Like, do you have any, you know, goals of starting a show or anything like that? Like other hobbies that will help pursue, not pursue, but things you can do outside of fighting, like after you're done fighting. Obviously, you're in the thick of things with fighting, but for me, I always think it's always good for an athlete to think about what they're going to do outside of mixed martial arts. Have you thought about that yet, or are you just like, fuck that, I'm just grinding it till the wheels fall off?
I mean, a little bit for sure. My ultimate goal is definitely to have something that I can do that's not requiring me to like sacrifice my physical health to make money.
Yep.
Like I'm not like, okay, I'm trading my brain health for this, you know, $50,000 check as a bonus. But no, I've been really having a good time doing stuff with UFC Fight Pass, doing some more stuff on the broadcast end of things. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I would say my ultimate goal is definitely to not have to get a regular job ever. I'd like to stay in this, you know, vein of things on the sports side of it. Obviously, I think someday I'd like to, you know, be able to give back to the next generation, have a gym and be able to, you know, just see where the sport progresses from there. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe we'll start doing some real estate stuff. The house we just bought, we're not gonna sell. We're gonna keep it. And then, you know, whenever we move up to a bigger house, we're gonna try and rent that one out.
Nice.
Just try and get in the real estate side of things, I guess. Yeah.
I love it. Here's a question. How you've been with your wife for how long now? Like, because she's your girlfriend at the very beginning, right?
Yeah, so I had one pro fight, so it's been 7.5 years.
Talk to me about the dynamic of you going, you know, hey, we're making $2,500. We're at IKEA, and now you're making great money.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the dynamic of somebody being there to support you, right? Because a lot of, you know, I feel a lot of athletes in any sport, either they're with somebody or not. I mean, I just looked up on Instagram today that Israel Adesanya's ex-girlfriend owes him $500,000 because she tried to take his ass to court and try to get some of that money. So I think it's very hard for athletes in any sport to find that special one that's been there since day one supporting you. Talk to me about the dynamic of you guys growing together as you navigate this, you know, career in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where this sport's so volatile and there's no stability in it really. Like, so it's nice to have stability at home on that side of things. And yeah, like when we started out, she moved in with me as soon as she turned 18, and like we were splitting the bills. Like she was working extra shifts to make sure the rent was paid. And she was like, okay, like pursue the fighting stuff. Like, let's see how it goes. And, yeah, cause I mean, I was already pro by the time we started dating. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not a lot of money, but we made it by. Like my contender fight, I think we had like $34 in the bank account.
Damn.
While I was fighting, in Vegas, I was like, guys, I can't get these Ubers anymore. Like somebody's got to get it. I'll get you back. But you know, and then winning contender, it was 5 and 5. That was the most money I'd seen in my life, was $10,000. And yeah, it's nice to have someone that's been with you from the beginning, and then it's, you know, really worthwhile and like really fulfilling to be able to be in this spot now where, you know, we have our baby and she's able to, you know, not work. She's able to just spend the time at home, and I'm able to be home a lot. So it's a lot of time with the kid, and I feel like that it's, you know, it just shows that I'm doing the right thing, and you know, it's worthwhile, and you know, I picked the right one, or you know, she's you know, dealt with me long enough that she's willing to stick around. So
yeah. When was your first oh shit money? Like, oh shit, like we've had another guy on I could just say what my first oh shit part was like, oh shit, I gotta do this with it. Oh, I gotta do this with it. I gotta pay that much in fucking taxes.
Yeah.
Like, what was your first oh shit moment? And like, you're like, fuck, like you just said, fuck, I got $34 in an account. I'm in Vegas. I can get these Ubers. You get 5 and 5. There's 10 G's. You're like, oh shit, we got 10 G's, babe. We going back to IKEA, or can I buy a new computer? Let me buy this fucking AR with a can on it.
There you go.
What was your big first oh shit moment? Like, this is a lot of fucking money. What are we gonna do?
Honestly, it definitely taxes. Like, because I don't think a lot of people think about it, but UFC, they just cut you a check. Like, you're 1099. They're like, we don't take the taxes out. You have to, measure it out yourself. So it's sending those checks to the IRS. So like, here's $25,000 for what? I don't know. Here you go. So you don't put me in jail. I mean, it doesn't feel like they earned 25 grand out of my fight checks at the time.
Yeah.
When I have to write the check and be like, here you go, let me mail it to the IRS, put the little stamp on there.
Yep.
I think one of the first years after, like being in UFC and stuff, we owed like 25 grand because I hadn't paid any of it. And I was like, at the time, like, it's like, what? $25,000? What?
Yeah.
We'd been kind of like, I'd kept it in the account, just trying to like, it's just so vague. It was like, what are we going to do when the tax time comes? And actually I got to work on my taxes this week. It's just, the taxes are the worst part. I got to say. I think I sent him 45 after the last fight.
God damn.
Because I was
just
like, well,
just to make sure that you.
I was like, we got the bonus.
Yeah.
And but I don't think I got the bonus till January. But, but still, I was like,
yeah, that's smart. No, dude,
it's all a guessing game.
Dude, there's so many athletes, not just in mixed martial arts, but basketball, football, baseball, that don't pay their taxes, right? And I think that's a big money moment. Like, a guy goes, oh man, I made $1 million. Like, guess what? 37% of that's fucking gone. So 270,000 is going to Uncle Sam, even though he wasn't in your corner, he wasn't doing anything. That shit goes to them. And a lot of people and a lot of fans don't realize that either. It's like, you have to, cover your own taxes. And if you don't do it, Uncle Sam going to come and collect one of these days in your life.
Yeah. I mean, people don't really think about how much money goes out, like, right out of the gate.
Yep.
Like, thankfully, Jeff's my manager, so I don't have to pay a management team on top of that. But it's like, 20-30% send to the IRS. Another 10% goes to my coach. A lot of people send, 10-15% to their manager. So it's like almost half of your money is gone right off the top.
Yep.
But hey, could be worse. I could be working a 9 to 5, and hey, no complaints really at the end of the day. Just little pet peeves, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Chase, I appreciate you coming down, stopping by at the local, Wicked Pie here in Puyallup. This is your opportunity to let people know how they can support you, how they can follow you, what they can look forward to. The floor is yours, brother.
I don't know. Just watch UFC 314. I'll be in Miami. Come say what's up if you're down there. And I mean, if you're through Edom Claw and you want to train, come swing through. Combat Sport and Fitness. I'm there, 6 days a week. And
are you teaching classes there now?
Not as much. I'm more just focused on the MMA side of things. I used to help teach the kids class, but now it's just MMA, and I do jiu-jitsu after, do the gi classes. But like, I'll cover stuff, but Jeff said main priority
is
fighting, and then after, coach, because he had to juggle, owning a gym and trying to get ready for his own fights. He's like, you don't want to do that, so just focus on that now. But that's all I got. Thanks for having me. Great talking with you.
What about your Instagram? I think it's Chase Hooper, 155?
Close enough.
Chase Hooper, 155.
You'll find me. I'm on there.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this episode of the MIGHTYcast, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to never go live. I am your host, Demetrious Johnson. This is our guest, Chase Hooper. Make sure you check out his fight as he takes on Jim Miller in UFC Miami at UFC 314. Jim. The fucking Jim. Chase, I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the MIGHTYcast, and we just had Chase Hooper on the MIGHTYcast, and this part of the MIGHTYcast is called the Mighty Recap, and we recap everything that we just talked about with our guests. And I would say the most fascinating thing that I learned from Chase Hooper is he's been with the same coach since the very beginning, which is Jeff Hoagland. The first time I met Jeff Hoagland, I met him at Vision Quest. I sparred him one time, and at the time I was still an amateur. damn man, almost broke my arm. I think that's probably the first time I felt that burning sensation in my arm when he almost broke it in an arm bar. Luckily, I tapped super fast. And I'll never forget when I was sparring him, he was like, "You ain't gonna break me." I was a little man by then. I was a child. But to see that he's still with the exact same coach in the same area, which is in Enumclaw, which is Pacific Northwest in Washington State. It's inspiring because you don't see a lot of guys, go through that. Like, he was undefeated as an amateur, beat one of my teammates, Drew Brokenshire, and on a 2-hour notice, and him, making $2,500 guarantee, be able to go to IKEA and ball out, and just to hear the story of the infancy stage of going through a mixed martial arts career, because MMA career is very, very hard because you don't make a lot of money when you're doing it. And even when you're the best in the world, he had $34 in his account as a professional athlete, and he could barely cover the Uber rides. And the fact that now he's been very successful, and he got in the UFC at a very, very young age. Right? Like, I didn't get into UFC till I was like maybe 23, 24. So I was already kind of mature in my career and as an adult, with him being in the UFC, I believe 18, 19 years old, he said. And a cool thing that he said that I didn't know about was the development program. The only other time I've ever heard about the development program is with Brandon Moreno. He said he was part of a development program when he was in Mexico, that the UFC was trying to develop the talent in Mexico, which makes sense. And I think it's a good thing that they had this development program. They don't have it anymore, but I think it's a good thing because you get these fighters and they're good, but they're just not good enough for that next level in the UFC. But you give him, good money. He was making great money fighting at the local shows at CFCs or Cage Free or Titan. And then he gets a little more experience, and then he gets that opportunity to have that next leap into the UFC. That way he gets that experience before he gets in the big show. I think it's really cool, and I would like to see them bring that back, because there's a couple organizations that kind of do it. I know One Championship did it, Friday Night Fights, where those guys, they fight at Lupini Stadium, and then eventually they get the opportunity to fight for a contract at One Championship. But I don't think they're making, UFC money fighting those local scenes. I mean, him making 10-10, and then going after that making 12-12, and then so forth and so forth. He was making more money in the regional area than I was when I was actually in the UFC. My first paycheck in the UFC was 5-5, and then it went 5-5. I think it went 6-6, and then 7-7. So it's kind of cool to see that he was part of that development program. And when you look at Dana White's Contender Series, Dana White Contender Series has produced champions. You look at Sugar Sean O'Malley. I can't think of any other off the top of my head, but I think he's the biggest one. But if you look at, what the Ultimate Fighter's been able to do, John Dotson, it's been able to produce some great talent. TJ Dillashaw. Somebody else who's become a world champion. Cody No Love was in the Ultimate Fighter as well. I think he was. I'm not sure. My brain's all over the place with who's done what and who's been able to accomplish what. But I think the coolest thing is hearing about the development program that he was a part of. Now, when you look at his fight against Jim Miller, it's an interesting fight because Jim Miller, he's been in the UFC for a very, very long time. One of the guys who probably has 50 to 60 fights, just like Donald Cerrone. Multiple fight night bonuses, knockouts, submissions, decisions. I mean, the gentleman has done everything inside the UFC besides become a world champion. But I think this probably be his last fight, or maybe 2 more fights. I think he wants to reach a certain number, and I'm excited for him to take on Chase Hooper, who I believe Chase Hooper is growing as a martial artist at the big stage, because he still is relatively young, being 25 years old, gone through everything he's gone through in his career, from fighting the local scene here in the Pacific Northwest in Puyallup, and then be able to make his way to Dana White's Contender Series, and then now, doing ADXC against Aljamain Sterling, and then now getting an opportunity to fight in Miami at UFC 314. And I think all in all, talking to Chase, I think he's a great kid, very, very talented. And the interesting thing is that we've never trained together, even though we live in the same city. I think our paths never crossed. Now I'm on my jiu-jitsu journey, and the guy's fucking massive. Him talking about he walks around 195, kind of 155. Are you fucking kidding me? He's an absolute massive. He's like 6 foot, and he's still growing, right? I think he's going to be, I can see him ending up at 170. I don't think he's going to get any taller, but I do believe he's probably going to get, more muscle, more thicker. And it seems like he's with a great team. Same with the same team, Jeff Hoagland, a guy who used to fight in the UFC as well. a local legend here in Pacific Northwest. And I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do with his career. And it was fun chopping it up with him when it comes to the gaming side of things, because when you talk about gaming, you know what? The game industry is fucking dead right now. There's no games out right now that get me, excited. It's almost like an empty shell, something that I used to truly enjoy in the early days of my life. And now I feel like there's nothing out there that's really piquing my interest. But to hear that he vibes out, he played a lot of hours of Elden Ring, and he doesn't even know what the fuck's going on in Elden Ring unless he reads a book, which I think that's kind of counterintuitive. Why play a game for 95 hours and next thing you know, you have no idea what the fuck you just played? So boys, if you guys enjoyed this episode of the Mighty Recap and the MIGHTYcast, please leave a like, subscribe, also leave a comment. And in the comment section, let me know what you guys thought was the best part of the episode. Was it him talking about the development program that the UFC had? And that's one of the reasons I love talking to these athletes, because everybody's journey to the big show is totally different. Everybody's journey of how they spend their money, what they do when they get their first big paycheck, what they do when they get their first bonus, or what they do when they pay taxes. $45,000 went out out of the pot once he won his last fight with that bonus. I love to, hear and share these athlete stories, because those are some of the stories I had too when I had my first big money moment. My big money moment is, what do I do with all this money we just made? Because last thing we want is the IRS coming back and claiming the house, and we're going to end up like fucking Happy Gilmore, having shoot and MacGyver, trying to purchase the house and piss on the ashes. So boys, I am your host, Demetrious Johnson. The co-host is not here, but he's going to be in the lab chopping this up real good. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the MIGHTYcast. We will see you guys at the next episode of the MIGHTYcast. Boop. Okay, all right, here we go. My man, Corey. Welcome back to another episode of the MIGHTYcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by our guest, the Sandman, Corey Sandhagen. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, man. It's been a while since we talked. Been a lot going on in mixed martial arts. We're just talking before we jumped on here. And how do you feel the state of mixed martial arts is going right now in a whole? Some people say mixed martial arts is in recession. Some say it's booming. I'm a person who said it's booming. When you look at the casual fans, me and Michael, we cover the sport as much as we can and the fights that we want to cover. But I feel that there's a market out there where the casuals, they have nothing to do every Saturday night. They come home, they're like, oh, babe, we want to do, there's a mixed martial arts event on, we're going to watch it. How do you feel the state of mixed martial arts is right now as a whole, from both sides? As a competitor, being, ranked, top 5 in the world, to, being at home watching it. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess good question. I mean, I think that the UFC is pretty much taken over everyone else now. Like, for the most part, I don't feel like I hear a lot from one other than a lot of like Muay Thai fights now, but I'm kind of a little bit off of my phone. So it's like I'm a person living in the cabins in the woods sometimes. So sometimes I might not be the best person to ask for questions like this, but I do think that UFC's kind of way that they go about the business sometimes is to like find a star, build up a star, and then capitalize on the star. And when there is no star to like capitalize on, I think that it can be a little bit tough to like maybe quote unquote get excited for fights. But I think that that's just kind of the nature of sports a little bit too. Like everyone likes their rivalries. I would say that that's kind of a comparable thing to a like a star or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I just really like watching good fights. I like watching good fighters. I think that there's a lot of them in the UFC, and yeah, I don't know. I guess that's a good question. I don't really have an answer for you. What do you think?
It's kind of hard. Me and Michael, we always balance this conversation off each other all the time, and I feel that when it comes to mixed martial arts, UFC, One Championship, PFL, all of them, I feel like we're in a period where I feel like man, like 2011 to 2017, maybe 2019, it was just peak mixed martial arts. You had GSP, you had banger after banger cards, right? I can't go off the list and name her banger after banger, but I felt like there was a good stretch of like great cards, where now it's kind of, a lot of people forget that there's, events going on. Just all around until one of the stars fight like Izzy or Ilia. I mean, you're fighting. I'm excited for that fight because you're taking on, Figueiredo, who was the former flyweight champ of the world. He moved up to 135. So I'm very excited to see that. I feel right now you're at that point where, you look at who's the champion at 135, which is Merab. You haven't fought Merab, and you also have not fought Sugar Sean O'Malley. So either way, if you get past Figgy, this kind of sets you up pretty well because you haven't fought any of those guys. We'll talk about that later in the show. But when you look at it's a very interesting viewpoint because you look at all the headlines. Pay-per-view numbers are down. The deal with ESPN is up, right? And I thought that Netflix was going to, absorb or make a purchase or a run at the UFC, but they're not really in the model of, live events every Saturday or every month, one event. They're kind of after the big mega events like Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul or NFL on Christmas, stuff like that. So, pay-per-view numbers are low. You said it, it's very hard. There's not a lot of stars as there was back in 2011 to 2017. So, and it seems like they're having a hard time creating stars. So for me, I always felt that they're always going to be able to keep the lights on because the UFC brand is so massive that if you have two, random guys fighting, people are going to tune in for the casuals. But the hardcore fans, it's always going to be, a toss-up, Do they want to support the brand or they want to see the upcoming fighters? So for me, I'm kind of on the fence, but I always tell Michael, I think that, the UFC is always going to keep on doing things because the brand is just so massive and so big. And I always tell them that the UFC is so smart. They'll never let an athlete get bigger than the sport itself because back in the day, you had Rich, Tim Sylvia, Matt Hughes, you have, some big figures who are bigger than the sport. You see them, hey, that's Rich Franklin. Hey, that's Tim Sylvia. Hey, that's Matt Hughes. Hey, that's GSP. And then you look at it now when they see you, when they see me, they're like, every time somebody sees me, like, hey, you used to be a UFC fighter. I'm like, yes, I used to, but they don't recognize me as my name as, hey, you're Demetrious Johnson. There are guys out there who do, but the casuals, which I always tell people, casuals pay the bills. It's not, the hardcore fans. I always relate it to if you own a gym, fighters don't pay the bills in the gym. It's your everyday mom and dad's kickboxing class, the kids class is what pays the bills. That's how I kind of equate it to hardcore fans to casuals. Casuals pay the bills and the brand is so big. So it's interesting, way to answer that question. But I feel that it's going to keep on growing because the casuals are always looking for something to watch every Saturday, essentially.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you sound like a historian when you're talking, dude. You go way back with all of this stuff, but I don't know as much probably as you do about it. But I mean, I kind of always been like a fighter, or actually just like kind of an athlete in general that only really likes watching sports to try to learn from it. Like when I grew up, I played basketball a lot, like we've talked about before. And really the only reason that I ever watched basketball games and basketball players, I never really rooted for any team. I just kind of would watch the game so that I could better understand the game and how plays work and how people are playing and stuff. So I've always done the same thing with fighting where, I don't really have fighters. I mean, I have fighters that I really like to watch, but they're always the people that I like to learn from the most and who I think are doing like really interesting stuff in the sport. But yeah, I guess the hardcores do kind of really like exciting fights, but I think that the hardcores also, I guess, really tune in too to see who's the next upcoming guys. I also think that the sport's gotten a lot better, so it's really hard to like keep your undefeated record, and that's always like an exciting sell of people. And these really great guys that they spend a lot of time marketing sometimes lose just because people are really good now. I think that the sport's in a really good place as far as skills and all of that stuff goes. So I mean, it's hard to go undefeated now.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of undefeated, Umar Nurmagomedov just lost his O against Merab. Talk to me about that fight. I thought it was pretty damn good back and forth. You fought Umar Nurmagomedov, and I felt you did a good job of, being on the feet and being not chaotic, but not being scared to engage. Obviously, Merab did a good job of engaging, but you know, I feel Merab's wrestling is at a very, very high level. Your scrambling ability and trying to attack the submissions was a lot better than Merab, because I feel like you had that over Merab. But talk to me about what you think about that fight between Umar Nurmagomedov versus Merab.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the fight was really good. I think that Merab kind of fights in a way, like Merab's striking is to wrestle. It's very like safe. He doesn't take a ton of risk in it, just because he's just not a super fast twitch guy, and he's just doesn't have like, that's like not his number one skill set, which is okay.
Yep.
But I mean, he definitely leaves a ton of space, and he uses his striking to stay safe and then wrestle, which is again okay. Especially with me, like I thought that it was still a great fight, even though there wasn't like a ton of trading in the center of the cage or anything like that, or really like super significant moments on either one of them where either one of them got hurt big time. But I mean, that's just how Merab fights, and that's kind of the way that he does things. And then you have Umar on the other hand, who's really dynamic, who doesn't really like press super hard. He kind of fights more on his back foot, and he likes to counter strike and stuff. So the fight was a lot more exciting than I honestly thought it was going to be. No offense to either one of them. I just thought that because Merab or Umar fights kind of on his back foot and likes to counter a lot, and Merab was, I don't think, going to want to strike with him as much as he did. I thought that they were just going to kind of like move around a bunch and then wrestle a little bit, move around a bunch and wrestle. I thought it was going to be one of those, but it was a super entertaining fight. I think that Merab's cardio is obviously a big ass problem for everyone. and you know, Umar did a good job combating that. But what can you do when, you know, you fight someone that has kind of a super power, like, and the superpower pays off big time in 5-round fights. Like, Merab's going to do good in a lot of 5-round fights. He's going to be really hard to beat with that conditioning.
I love you said that fucking superpower, never getting tired. And the biggest thing I love about that fight was who was going to win the wrestling exchange, who was going to win the scrambles, right? Because you are right, because when you look at Merab, he does use his striking to stay safe. You look when he fought Sean O'Malley, he uses the striking just to keep Sean at bay, and then once Sean starts to strike, he goes underneath him, takes it down. But obviously Umar has a way, way higher wrestling pedigree than Sean O'Malley. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm excited to see who's going to win the wrestling aspect of it, because whoever wins that is going to be the winner. But when you look at the data, it says that, you know, Merab outstruck Umar Nurmagomedov, and it's just kind of crazy to see how he's able to use that superpowers, keeping himself safe with the strike, and then also using the wrestling to, you know, dominate his opponents. And I wanted to get your thought, because you fought, you know, you haven't fought Merab yet, but you fought Umar. So I was kind of curious what your take was going to be, as if you fought Umar. How is somebody who's undefeated going to fight somebody who just seems like a wrecking machine when he gets in there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had Umar going into that fight. I thought that he was going to win. I mean, Umar's a really good fighter. He was much faster than what I thought he'd be. But I mean, all the credit to Umar, honestly, because it was kind of even though he lost, it was a really inspiring performance in the sense that I think he wrestled super good. Like, didn't once turn his back, like wrestled Merab pretty straight up, and it got him tired as shit. But it also was like really impressive in everything that he was doing. And then also, I thought that he was broken like halfway through the third round. Like not like broken like in his like spirit, but like body couldn't go anymore, and your body has limitations, or at least some of us do, and maybe Merab's doesn't. But I mean, shit, dude, he showed up for that 5th round, and it was a close round in the beginning. Like, he was still throwing, and I was like, God, how is this guy still punching and kicking? But and then, like, you know, about 90 seconds into it, Merab kind of took over and then stole the round. But I mean, yeah, it was a great fight. I mean, Umar is a super talented guy, and I think he's going to continue to do really well. And Merab's obviously a big ass problem that we all got to handle at some point, or at least I got to handle at some point. So, yeah, I'm really excited to, like you were saying before, you know, Merab and O'Malley are fighting each other. They're going to have a, you know, however that fight goes down, I think that if I go out and put on a really spectacular performance against Figueiredo, I definitely can be the next guy, which is actually super nice to kind of just have a little bit of timing and have a little luck kind of work out for me right now. But we'll see if it kind of plays out. But I feel like I've gotten a little bit unlucky sometimes just in the past, just with like the timing of injuries and the timing of like just stuff. I've also gotten lucky at the same time too. But this time I'm like, oh shit, if I go out and I like demolish Figueiredo, or if I go like beat Figueiredo by a mile or I knock him out or I submit him, I don't think it's way out of the realm of possibility that I'd be the next guy to fight for the belt, especially just considering I'm the only one that hasn't fought Merab yet in the top 5. And then also, I mean, the entire world wants to watch me and O'Malley fight. I don't think that there's too many more exciting fights that you can maybe make in the UFC. If we're going to talk about like hardcore fans and people wanting to tune in, I think that that's one that people are definitely going to want to see. So I think that it's really nice that timing and luck is kind of, I think, going to play out for me a little bit this time. And I go out, I kick Figgy's ass, then
It's funny you talk about timing, right? Because you're fighting May 3rd, and then a month later, 4 weeks later, you have, you know, Sean O'Malley taking on Merab. And I think, I agree with you. When you look at the top, who's at the top right now, you have a fight, either of those guys. A striking, you know, a fight between you and Sean O'Malley, the footwork and the movement and the angles is going to be straight peak. And then if you know, you get the opportunity to fight Merab, how you going to do with that big ass gas tank, right? So I think it's exciting either way how it, you know, the coin flips, you know. But first, I get past Figueiredo, obviously a very dangerous guy coming up from 125. He fought Peter Yan, came up short. You fought Peter Yan before. I mean, you pretty much, I feel like you fought everybody in the bantamweight division besides Merab and Sean O'Malley. But now you're getting a chance to fight Figueiredo. How are you looking at this matchup? You know, I always thought that he was a very, very big 125er, and that's why I felt made a difference when he fought at 125, because he hit hard, he had a great grappling ability, and he also was big, and he could take a shot because he was bigger than most of the guys. I heard one time he walked on like 150, 155. I'm at 140. I'm at 146 this morning, and I'm retired from fighting. So what are your thoughts about him coming up to 135, fighting at 135, now I said 125, and how you looking at this matchup with him?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely tell that there's differences in the way that he's been fighting at 25 versus 35. He looks a lot less like a bully at 135 than he did at 125. At 125, I mean, just the size of the guy, how strong he was. He wrestled good. He has really long arms, and okay, like when you know that you're the bigger animal in the cage, it's a lot easier to just be like, all right, I'm just gonna walk you down, and if you grab me, like, fine, I'm bigger than you, I'm just gonna throw you, you know. Obviously not that easy, but like when your skills are really good, it sometimes is that easy. So I don't think he's that big of a bully at 135. I think that he moves a lot. He's trying to wrestle people a little bit more than his past fights. And those have kind of been like the two biggest things that I've noticed when he's come up to 135. He's just not the bigger guy anymore. And I have a really big frame for 135, and I'm really curious to see what his kind of plan is around that, because I know that that's going to be a really big problem for him. I'm really big for the weight class too. I'm not like Paddy Pimblett big for the weight class, but I'm pretty big, you know? And so yeah, I mean, Figgy's definitely a tough, experienced guy, and he has like balls, you know, like he fights with like some of this, you know, which is cool, because if you didn't, I mean, everyone at the top has that now, but you know, like, that's just a nice thing to know that you're going against, because it'll bring out your best. Like, you don't want to fight like a bitch, you know, like that's not fun. It's just like not fun, you know. Like, you don't want to fight someone where it's just like, oh, dude, you're just gonna be a punk. Like, that's not cool, you know. And Figgy's definitely not a bitch. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
I don't know, my friend. You need to change your attitude. You got to start thinking like Chael Sonnen. You want to fight the easiest person for the biggest paycheck in the world, because you don't want the problems. No, I agree with you.
What a broken way to live, dude. What a broken way to live. That is such a broken way to live. You will never hear that come out of my mouth, and I will never let that thought go into my mind, just because that is just like the absolute antithesis of what I stand for in like what this sport should be, dude. And that is just like unreal. I'm like, sure, man, play it smart, but you also chose fighting. So you're obviously like not that smart. Don't try to play a stupid sport smart. Just fucking just show up and fight who they tell you to fight. You know what I mean? But not everyone would take that route. But that's kind of my dumb, honest route that I want to take in life, because I think it's going to make me the best me that I could be.
Well, I think okay, there's two things. I don't want to veer off what we're talking about with Figgy. I'm going to jump back on what you just said there, because there's a lot of things. One of our good friends of the show, MMA Guru, brought up a great point about that. But let's talk about the Figgy fight. I agree with you, everything you said about Figgy. He isn't the biggest guy. I never forget when he fought Joseph Benavidez, and just the sheer power he hit Joe B with, you could just see like the size difference was just massive. Not him fighting at 135. You can see that he has to move more, be more strategic, use the grappling, use a little bit of wrestling, and go about getting the victories. I still think he hits hard at 135, but those guys, like you said, there's a bigger frame. They can absorb the punches a lot more. So it's not the same at 125. You know, how big do you get? You're like 6'2", 175. How tall are you?
I wish I was 6'2". I'm 5'11", and
God damn.
I might be like a hair shorter than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like 5'11", and I'm like, if I'm like eating, there's like 3 sets of weights that we all have as fighters. There's like the I'm being a piece of shit weight, and then there's like a I'm training and eating good weight, but not really counting calories weight. And then there's like the in camp weight. In camp, I'm like 156, 157.
Oh my God. Oh God damn.
And then if I'm being, oh really? Oh shit. Well, if I'm being like a big piece of shit and just eating whatever I want and like not training, which is pretty much only like the week and a half after a fight until I get back into it, I'll hit like 63, 64-ish.
Wow. Cut all the way down. I always tell people, like, when you get to 163, 164, your body's still carrying, your frame still carries that weight, right? So Joe Rogan was talking about on his podcast that they should eliminate weight cutting. If you walk around 165, that's obviously when you're being a piece of shit. So I'm sure when you're training, you walk around 155. So you carry a frame of a 155er, then you drop down to 135. So you lose 20 pounds. Then you probably step in the octagon, probably 148, 150, I like to think, right? Or do you gain all your weight back?
About that. No. Like not all of it, but yeah, like I think the most I've seen was like 54 or 56 or something.
Yeah, so you're basically a 155er fighting at 135. It's just crazy, like when how much weight you put back on and how big do you get when you're being a POS, not training, where you still carry that same power and frame of that body. Does that make sense? Like, it's just crazy how much you're able to fluctuate between 135 all the way up to 160 when you're being a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, I love it. When I'm in the 160s, dude, I feel like I can like just bully people in training. I could just like, I'm like, oh, you're like, so just 5 pounds makes this much of a difference. It's, I love it. I wish I could be that weight, but yeah, I mean, weight cutting is just part of it. I guess it kind of like weeds out a lot of people that don't really want to like commit. Actually, I don't really know if that's true or not. I was gonna say maybe it weeds out some of the people that don't really want to work as hard, but just because weight cutting is working hard, you know what I mean? But and it takes a lot of discipline and stuff, but yeah, you can't get around it. So what's anyone gonna do about it?
Yeah. Well, now I want to pivot what you just said. Like you said, the mindset is always fighting the best and taking the hardest route. You said that, and when you look at today's landscape of mixed martial arts, MMA Guru, we talk all the time, and he said that you see a lot of guys not taking fights because they're waiting for a title shot, right? I think you have, topuria, he says, I was promised a title shot. You have Charles Oliveira, he said he's not gonna fight unless he gets a title shot. You have a lot of guys saying, I'm not fighting unless it's gold, right? And here you are, you're saying like, that's the wrong attitude to have. You fucking fight everybody, you just do it. Obviously, people are going to come at me like, oh, you should have fought TJ. Ladies and gentlemen, we already gone over that before. But for you're saying it doesn't matter. You fight whoever they put in front of me. I'm going to do it. I'm not taking the easy route. I want the hardest route to get to a world title shot. How do you, when you see other athletes saying like, I'm not fighting unless it's for gold, what's the thought process that goes in your mind when you hear that? Because you're the total opposite. You're saying, nah, man, you fucking fight everybody. It doesn't matter. It's going to make you the best version of yourself and prepare you to be a champion if you do become a champion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that there's kind of a lot of layers to it, kind of. Well, one, I don't judge people for taking that route. Like
Mhm.
they're just valuing different things than what I value, and I can't just walk around thinking that my values are better than other people's,
Mm.
just because I don't like where that would really take me. But I think that I just value like the martial arts way, man, like the not sports way of doing stuff. Like I
Mm.
think that I can kind of be a little bit of an existential, like, um, like out there type of thinker in that, like, I think about God and I think about what that means. I think about what's important in life. I think about what happens to us after life. Like, what are we all doing here? I think about a lot of that stuff. And I think that, like, having just an accolade or having just a title isn't really enough for me. Like, that's not what I want to get out of this sport. What I'm
Mm.
trying to get out of this sport is to challenge myself. I'm trying to push myself to limits and like face fears that I never thought that I could handle, and just be brave in the face of a lot of adversity, and just like make my soul like an iron soul, and make myself an unshakable person. And that's kind of what I think is interesting. I don't really like other things. Like, I drive kind of a shitty Subaru. And I like, like, I don't really drive, I don't care how I look oftentimes. And I'm just kind of not interested in like the material stuff of life. That's kind of just the way that I've been a little bit.
Mhm.
I was raised fairly religious, but I kind of have developed my own ideas around that. And if there is like this higher being, or there is this God, or our lives are super sacred things that we only get to live once, are we really trying to waste it on like trying to appear like we're really good at something? Like, I don't really even care about a legacy much, to be honest with you. I don't care about what my name means to the future. That's like not interesting to me anymore.
Mm.
What matters to me is that like I can make myself a super solid dude and make myself a super solid competitor, so that I can just like radiate that off of me in my life, and hopefully some people will catch wind of it that I'm around. And uh and that's what I think is important.
What have you always thought that way when you jumped in mixed martial arts, or is this something new
No,
that
hell no. I
you
wanted girls. I wanted girls. I wanted to look cool.
yeah.
I wanted titles, and um, but deep down, no. Deep down, I do think that that is what I wanted the entire time. I think that I was a kid that was just looking for a meaning in life. Um, I really dedicated myself to martial arts when I was 18 years old, when I lost one of my best friends in
Mm.
life. And I remember the feeling of, oh, so these things just end one day, and we're not
Mm.
in control of when these things end. And it's just ends like this, because that's exactly what happened to my buddy. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not doing this whole game that people are playing anymore. Like, I'm just going to chase this thing if it kills me, and that's just what I'm going to do with my life. And I don't care about too many other things. I just want to achieve greatness, and not greatness because I want Corey Sandhagen to be a great name in the history books. I just want greatness just to say that I mastered myself, and I mastered a craft that I really care about and love.
Gotcha. Because I feel like I'm talking to two different people. When I talked to you earlier, in the year, or not this year, but previous years, it was a different mindset to now. I feel like you live your life as a simple man. Not that you didn't before, but I feel this is more, you're wearing this mindset and ideology on your shoulder, where it's like, I'm just here to be the best version of myself, and see what I can achieve of mastering myself. I don't care about the title. I don't care if, the Sandman is in the history book as one of the greatest 135ers to ever walk the planet Earth. You're just here to test yourself, and that's it. So I honestly feel you're not married to the outcome of your victories. You're always just trying to master yourself and be the best martial artist you can be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that I think that we're all kind of multifaceted too, and like
Mm-hmm.
the way that we are sometimes, like there definitely is a person inside me that,
Yep.
especially when I fight, that isn't like an existential, like let me use my soul to win this, you know, like
Yep.
that person doesn't exist in the cage. The person that exists in the cage is winning at all costs.
Yep.
And is willing to be super brutal in order to do so, or, you know, do whatever the fuck I got to do in order to do that. But that's just kind of like the different facets of all of us. And I think that maybe I just have a bunch of different ones, or maybe a lot of people are like this, and they just I have like a stupid level of self-awareness, which isn't like a good thing. Like, I don't say that in like a boastful way. It's like more of a curse than it is sometimes a blessing. But I'm like aware of all of the little voices that are happening inside of my head a lot. And I think that they're like, not any of them are really me, but I kind of just bounce around all of them, you know, like I'm a different guy when I'm training than when I'm with my wife. And, and yeah, so we're all like that, you know what I mean? And the state that I try to be in life is one that is of a high value, high character dude that like wants to just be good at something, and wants to master himself, and wants to master all of that stuff. But also at the same time, I am this guy who wants to win a world title, who is like willing to do whatever I need to do in order to win fights, within the rules, of course, and just be a guy that just be like that savage, you know what I mean? Like you understand, like sometimes you just gotta like be a nasty, gnarly guy that maybe does care about material things or whatever when you go into the cage, because that helps you win. But yeah, we're all multifaceted. I just think that it's really hard to sometimes do interviews because there are so many facets to you know, me as a competitor. I'm sure that we all as competitors have really just a lot of things, you know, like we have deeper parts of ourselves, and then we just have parts that just want to kill and make the other guy bloody. And that's just the way that it is.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the guys at my gym who just he lost his fight, and he's 4-3 now. And his coach and I were talking, me and his coach, we grew up together fighting. And I was like, damn, dog, I feel like you're so programmed. Like you got to get, you know, nasty. It's a fucking fist fight, right? Like, you know, we're like martial artists. We're like, no, you got to go out there and use martial arts to get the victory. I was like, nah, man, this is a fucking fist fight. And then my buddy said, Drew is his name. He goes, animalistic. You got to be an animal in there, right? You got to just fucking just pop and just hit them. And when you said like just be vicious out there, that kind of resonated with me, because we're literally just talking about that today. And I think to, you know, put more context of what you're saying is that we all have different hats that we wear, right? Like, okay, hey, I'm with my wife, I'm wearing this hat. I'm the husband. I'm going to cater to her, you know, her interests are my interests, our passion. We're going to share our passion together. We're at the gym. You're like, okay, I'm getting ready for this fight. When I'm in the cage, I'm going to do whatever I can to get this fat ass check and get this gold. We were at home. It was like, God, life is so easy. I'm breathing. I have this water. You appreciate things. And I also saw recently that you hired a brand coordinator, somebody to help you build your brand. I see you're starting to get into little skits. Yeah. Talk to me about that, right? Because I know I feel, you know, with you kind of remind me of myself when I was in the middle of my career. I didn't care about anything. All I cared about was showing up. I would fight. I will leave, go home, pressure wash my fence. I was very boring. I had no personality. I'm not saying you're in that same boat, but I feel like, you know, you kind of put yourself in that boat. That makes sense, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you show up, you show up, you fuck somebody up. All right, guys, gotta go home. We gotta go fucking mow the lawn. I feel like you're like me. That's how I was. You know, everyone's like, oh man, we're gonna do your bonus. I'm gonna go put it in the bank, go home and feed these babies. You know, and then I see you're getting the skits. You hired a brand manager. Talk to me about this brand manager. Is he helping? Is he doing good? You feel good about him?
Yeah. Well, actually, I must be doing something right if that's the way that you used to be also. So that, I guess that's reassuring. So, no, so my videographer guy, the guy that runs my YouTube, his name is Elias, and he was like, hey, we doing vlogs for this camp. And I was like, dude, I do not want to do another round of vlogs. Like, I just don't have the personality for it, dude. I was like, dude, I get bored watching my own vlogs. I was like, that's not a good sign. We're not doing vlogs anymore. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, I think that we should do something. And I was like, all right, I'm going to write a bunch of really stupid skits and we're going to take them serious. And this is what we're going to do for the vlogs. So yeah, so the vlogs are just like a bunch of my dumb, funny, I think that they're funny ideas of just what it is to be a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were super fun to shoot, dude. Like, I've gotten a pretty good response from a lot of them. They're not doing like as good on views as I'd like, but I didn't really do them for a ton of views. I did them more so that fans could see a little bit more of a fun side of me instead of being all intense and shit, which is which is sometimes how I can really come across. So yeah, the skits were really fun. I think another one comes out tomorrow, and then another one next week, and then we're done with them. So, but yeah, they were fun. I don't know if you got to watch any of them. But
I did.
A couple of them were like. A couple of them were kind of funny. Some of them are like, dude, that was a miss, but some of them are kind of funny.
No, I liked it. I liked it when you were like, I just like to, and he was like, he all showed up in his suit, goes, come on, man, you got to do this stuff. And I think it's great that you're doing that, because that's the hardest thing about our sport of mixed martial arts is that you have a platform when you fight, right? And then once you're done fighting, you kind of, the spotlight goes on a different athlete where you could bring your fans to show a different personality, because you are, every single time we've talked, I've always had I've never walked away from the conversation goes, well, that guy's fucking boring. I've never felt that way. It's always good laughs. We talk, you know, I get to know you a little bit more. You're a true martial artist. You're trying to figure out, okay, how do I get to this? How do you navigate that? And I think you showing a different side of you is only going to help your brand. It's going to help people get behind you more. And you just showing people that you're a likable guy, that, you know, like, I think it's good that you're doing it. And I enjoyed the one where he showed up to your house and he was breaking it down. He goes, all right, man, this is what we're going to do. And Michael enjoyed it too, because he sent it to me, and that's what put me down that path of like, oh, he's actually doing some vlogging. And you also break down fights before too. Like, I've seen you do stuff inside of the gym, and I think it's good. And yes, it does take a lot of effort to do it, but, you know, shit, why not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's part of it now. And I'll tell you what, if I was making $100 million in the NBA or the NFL, I would not have a YouTube channel, but that's what we're doing.
Hey, you know what?
This is what the fuck we're doing. So,
hey, here's the thing. You start building a YouTube channel, then when you retire from fighting, you have something to work on. And here's the thing. What other hobbies do you have, Corey? What other hobbies?
I like riding. I like lazy hobbies. I used to be like super outdoorsy and shit, and then I kind of got a little older, and I was like, I'm not trying to climb that thing anymore, dude. Wake up at 2 a.m, so I have to drive to the mountains and do that. So I used to be like a pretty outdoorsy guy. I'll still go camping, and I still enjoy it every once in a while, but if the weather's not like perfect, I'm like not going hiking anymore.
Yep.
So I will, I like reading and I like writing. I like coming up with ideas. Like, so for example, me and my family just recently decided, because me and my family weren't mega close growing up. We just weren't like a super tight bonded family. We were all kind of off doing our own thing. So now that we're a little bit older, we're like, hey, but we kind of want to be like more loving to each other. So we're trying to work on like a family game right now. And by we, I mean, I'm working on the family game because my mom and sister aren't doing shit for the game. So I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to work on this family game right now, which is fun. I just like coming up with a lot of ideas. It's just like creative ideas are really fun for me. So I'm working on that game. I'm going to start a gym here pretty soon. It's kind of difficult to find a gym space, but me and my wrestling coach are going to open up a gym out here in Colorado. So that'll probably keep me busy here. And maybe the next, I don't know when it will open. We still don't have a spot, but so I got that going on. I like writing and reading. I'm trying to write a sci-fi comic book right now, which is like a couple of years in the making, but it's kind of coming along. Yeah, it's honestly, I think I'm just going to keep it a hobby. I'm not going to try to be super good at it because I don't want it to be ruined yet. And then maybe if I actually get good at it, I'll think about maybe doing something with it. But writing a sci-fi comic book, and then yeah, I like reading comic books, and I like reading just normal books too. So yeah, a bunch of my hobbies are just kind of living up here.
Okay, so let's talk about the sci-fi comic book you coming on. What's the sci-fi? What's the name of it? What's it about?
Okay, I don't know the name of it yet, but okay. So it's kind of about, the attempt in it is to try to understand like a organized version of a lot of the religions and understand like God, a lot of it is God and religion and like what God would be able to do if we were able to actually interact with it one-on-one. So pretty much the idea is that this scientist dude stumbles upon like this like hidden tribe that is protecting these like portals to like our universe's God that created everything, watches over us, and does all of like the God stuff that you learn in like church and other religions and stuff. And then so the scientist brings these portals to the world, and people are actually able to interact with God one-on-one. And then the idea behind it is what would that actually do to the world? Would it make it better, make it worse? And then there's also some like AI stuff where AI is kind of the like other side of what God is, to where it's like it's kind of like a rationality versus like a spirituality kind of thing going on there. So it's kind of long, and it's really in depth. So without giving you like too bad of a pitch, that's what I'll leave you with. But, yeah.
I don't think it's a bad pitch at all. I think it's fascinating that you have the creativity to put together a sci-fi comic book like that, right? I think that's something that it's a hobby, but I think there's a lot of people out there who would be fascinated by your outlook on this story. What's the main character's name? Like, I love sci-fi. I love comic books. I read a little bit here and there, but I love sci-fi stuff. I love to hear different things, and that's why I wanted to hear about what's the main character's name.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Watchmen. I don't know if you've read Watchmen, but where there's like a number of kind of quote unquote main characters. But the main scientist dude, his name is James, and then the boy's name is Julian, and then like Julian and his mom kind of have like a thing. So a mom is a character, and then the president Chris is also a character, and then the bad guy, he's another character too. So yeah, I mean, it's fun, dude. It's really fun. I'm like a super unathletic blue belt at the entire thing. So that's kind of where I am in my skills with it, but it's just fun. I don't know. I just enjoy kind of organizing a bunch of quirky ideas, because I just come up with a lot of really dumb ideas all day. And this is kind of a compilation of all of my really dumb ideas.
And where do you draw inspiration for the story and your characters, right? Like, have you heard of the Armory Wars by Cody and Camaria? Have you read that one?
Nope.
You know, where do you draw inspiration from to write this story that you're working on right now?
A lot of it comes from stress, honestly, where I'll try to be creative where I'm the most stressed out, and it seems to work. This woman, Martha Beck, who writes a lot of really good books, she suggested that in one of her self-help books, and ever since then I kind of been rocking with that. Anytime I feel stressed, I just try to write something creative or do something creative. And yeah, so that will be helpful. Where do I get the inspiration for this? I think it's just an interest in God. It's just an interest in religion. I've always been fascinated by religion, and like how people will kill each other and be really brutal to each other in the name of like a God was a super fascinating thing for me to like think about growing up. And also just thinking about what right and wrong is. Like, am I following the right thing? Am I going to burn in hell? Am I going to go to heaven? What's going to go? Dude, when you grow up religious, I don't know if you grew up religious, but 90% of staying in the church is just because you don't want to burn in hell, dude. Like that's what's at stake for eternity.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I got to figure out if this is true or not, because I'm really not trying to have that happen. So yeah, just kind of an interest in that big time my entire life. And yeah, I think that it makes my life a little richer. And I think that it just makes things a little bit more profound throughout the day, which is a really nice feeling, because it doesn't make you feel like you're just walking through this weird mechanical TV show that we're all kind of living in. And it just makes life feel better when I do it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, two things. One, we call it the rat race, that you wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, come home, eat, hang out, go to bed, wake up, do it all over again. Like the rat race. That's what my buddy call it. I think it's just the monotony of life, right? And I didn't grow up religious. I grew up, I do know majority of the Bible stories. And it's funny you said that, because my wife, we have 3 kids, 11, 10, and 6 years old, and we're starting to introduce them into, religion, Jesus, God, and they're watching the stories. My mother-in-law just took the kids to go watch King of Kings, which is basically a religious movie. It basically tells you, the story about God and Jesus. And my wife, she goes, I didn't know all these stories. And I was like, oh yeah, I knew these stories, growing up. My mom made me watch them, the 7 Commandments, Noah's Ark, all that stuff. And she goes, how can you watch all these stories, but you never, shown to be a very religious man? I'm like, well, I feel like my relationship with God is between me and him. I don't have to go to church to pray. I don't have to do this. I grew up like you do right as you want to be done to yourself, right? And so for me, when you said like people just go to church just to stand there so they'll get burned, I just lost my shit, because a lot of people I grew up around, that was their mindset. Right? It's like, I just go to church so I can go to heaven, essentially, instead of like, no, I'm here because I truly want to pray the word of God and follow through what I believe in. So I think it's fascinating that you write, and I hope one day that you kind of go more in depth on your YouTube channel and like say, hey guys, like, this is what I'm thinking about this story, and basically like do like a Mr. Sandman reading time. I'm gonna let you guys know what I'm thinking about, because I think it's a different hat that you wear that I find it fascinating, and I think a lot of your fans will find it fascinating as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when it's a little bit more done, like I said, I'm at writing, dude. Like I was reading and writing, I was taken to a different room when we were learning all that stuff as a kid. So I don't have like a natural talent in it. I was like, why I gotta be in this room? Why am I reading different books than these people? And no one was like, because you're dumb, no one said that to me. So so I don't have like a natural ability in it at all. I kind of just really fell in love with reading in the last few years, and I kind of wanted to just take a crack at trying to write. And but yeah, like I said, man, I'm like a really unathletic blue belt in the whole thing. So like imagine like a 300-pound, never played sports, but like has been training for a year, and their coach just gave him like a blue belt. That's like how good I feel I am at it. So I got a long ways to go.
I'm sure you're putting sentences together. You got a thesis. You got you got a body of work. I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, right? I'm sure if I was to pick up what you've wrote so far, I'm sure I would enjoy it, and and I'm sure I could understand where the story is going.
I hope so. I don't know. I'll send it to you first. You'll be the first one that gets the first draft.
Bet. I'm gonna hold you to that too. I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right.
Okay, now let's switch gears. There's a big fight coming up. Merab taking on Sugar Sean O'Malley. What do you think about this fight? Obviously, a lot of people weren't happy when Sean O'Malley got the title shot, because typically, when you lose a fight, you get an immediate title shot. It's like, okay, well, people are getting title shots off losses, right? Where there's, I don't know, maybe you can answer this. Do you think there could have been other options for Merab to fight instead of having a rematch with Sean O'Malley?
Honestly, I think that's why O'Malley's getting it, like, really. I think that the whole, like, O'Malley definitely is a star, and he brings a lot of eyes to the sport, so you definitely have to, like, weigh that in as a factor. But also at the same time, man, like, there really isn't anyone else. Umar just fought Merab. Jan's last win was against Figueiredo, but before that wasn't doing super stellar, has already lost to Merab too in a pretty one-sided fight. And then I'm coming off of a loss also. So there really isn't anyone else other than kind of O'Malley. And yeah, so I'm not going to hate on O'Malley too much for getting the title shot. I think that it's a little bit more than like the star Dana White privilege thing. I don't think it's that as much as people are saying. I think that there's literally just kind of no one else that is more interesting, and good on O'Malley. He got some luck there, and good for him. So, but the fight wise though, I mean, I think for the most part, O'Malley's real shot at winning this thing is a puncher's chance, kind of. Like, Merab is going to take O'Malley down a number of times in this next fight. Like, O'Malley's ability to get up was really bad in his first fight with Merab. Like, he was doing steps that he could have just there's just better ways to stand up than the ways that he was going about doing it. And hopefully he does those things better, or else he's just, damn, Marley, hey. Or he's just going to be just, I got a big Rottweiler, so he's
That's okay. That's okay. You're like, hey, shut that goddamn dog up.
I know, jeez. But Marley, stop, for real. I'm doing something important. But yeah, so I think O'Malley is going to get taken down a lot. Hopefully he learned how to stand up a lot better, because getting taken down is going to happen. When you're like a long, lanky guy, it's really hard to stop people from getting underneath you.
Yep.
So it's not as much about defending the shot as much as it's about, hey, can I get up immediately? And if Sean does that a lot better, he'll I think do a lot better in the next fight. Sean's not really a point guy, so I mean, he's not just going to score a bunch of nips and picks from the outside and then try to win that way. O'Malley's like I try to put your lights out type of guy. And I think that if he just continues to try to put Merab's lights out, I think that that's just going to weigh against him. I think that he needs to really control the pace of the fight and the scoring piece of the stand-up, so that if he does get taken down and he cuts hands and gets back up, he can start to engage and just be, you know, do a lot better in that way. On Merab's end, I think Merab has to do the same shit and just do the exact same thing that he did and don't get knocked out. But I think that the fight's pretty interesting again, because I think O'Malley is really fired up. Like I know what it feels like to actually lose your first fight, and it sucks and it will fire you up. So I think that that's going to be a really big component in this. And I also think that if we're talking puncher's chance wins, O'Malley gets 25 more minutes to try to find a shot to knock Merab out. And that's a lot more than the first 25 minutes. So the guy almost has an entire hour to try to knock Merab out in his total amount of fight time. You know, like if he can't do it in an hour, then I said, don't ever let him fight again.
I fucking love that. You got an hour to knock this man out. You've already spent 25 of it. You get another 25 to get it done. And I love that take, because he does have that puncher's chance, right? Like in the last fight, you know, he did have a hip issue, which he really didn't disclose a lot about the hip issue. That once he got done with that fight, he got his hip taken care of, and now he's doing a lot more wrestling. You see in his camp, he's done way more wrestling or jiu-jitsu than he did in a lot of his camps. And I agree with you, he is going to get taken down by Merab. So here's the question: do you embrace the takedown and force the fight, or do you try to use that 25 minutes to set up that perfect sniper shot?
Yeah, good question. I think, without saying too much, just because I do think that I'll fight Merab one day. I don't think the answer to beating Merab is a ton of footwork and keeping space. I think that O'Malley's a lot longer. Like Umar tried it and O'Malley tried it the first time. Like move your feet, keep a bunch of distance, and do it that way. That's like a way to do it. But when a guy has a massive gas tank that's just that of which is like a superhero, I think that you set your space, and when Merab gets close to you, you hit that fool. And you know, like that sounds like really simple and maybe not the most technical way. Stop. or the most technical way. God, he's annoying. Or the most technical way. I do think that that's like a way to combat the conditioning piece. And I don't even think that he has to bring it to Merab. I think that he just has to really just try to counter him, but not counter in like a movie, like reset 1,000 times way. I think he just has to stand there, defend the shots as best he can, and just when Merab gets close to him, just hit him.
I love that.
Maybe. I don't know. I hope that he does it so that then I can have a little bit of like numbers on whether or not that works, so I can adjust my strategy when I fight Merab.
Well, you and Sean have two different styles of fighting, where I think you brace the chaos, you force the fight, to where Sean likes to use his footwork a lot more to keep himself at a distance where he can land that strike. Meaning that, like, if you will go for a takedown, I don't think I've ever seen Sean O'Malley shoot a double leg once in the octagon. Where I've seen you shoot, I've seen you do, you know, somebody get your back, you're doing a Grammy roll, you're not trying to break the hips, you can't break the hands. Like, you're more embracing the whole the whole, you know, Sean goes to a party, he's only going to sip, you know, vodka. Will you go there and you're sipping vodka, you're drinking tequila, you try some of the whiskey, you know, you're doing a little bit of everything. And it's not that
I'm just kidding.
yeah. And that's not that it gets him. That's what I always say to people is that a lot of people tend to go a certain way about their fights, which is fine, where I think you're more open to see how the fight goes, where we know he likes to stand on the feet and look for that sniper shot. So I think you're kind of spot on. And it sets you, like I said before, you get past Figgy, it sets you up really good for your opportunity. The stars are aligned that if you're able to get past Figueiredo, you're healthy enough, and whatever happens in that main event, I think it propels you right to the opportunity to be able to get the chance to fight either Sean or Merab. So I'm excited for your opportunity, and I'm also excited for that fight as well to see how things are going to play out.
Yeah, me too, man. I just got to go out there and kick Figgy's freaking ass, and then I think I can do it, you know. But I know that I definitely need to have a really impressive performance and hopefully a stoppage, even though, you know, Figgy's definitely not going to be the easiest guy to finish. That's what I'm going to be hunting for the entire time. That's what I've been training for the last 12 weeks is to get this finish, to break Figgy and make it one of the most impressive performances that you just can't deny me a title shot afterwards. So that's where the bar is for me. And, I do believe that I can clear it. This has been a really good camp. Me, Trevor, my coaches, everyone is like clicking on a different level. And, I think that I'm going to really, really crush it, man. And I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Before we let you go, I have a question for you. I'm gonna read some to you, and I want to know your first, what your thoughts are. Okay, this is from Ariel Helwani, not directed towards you, but it says, "We know this is cynical, but if we are all being honest, there are factors at play here that mixed martial arts is in a recession. Do you think MMA is in a recession right now in 2025?"
No, I don't think it's in a recession. I think that it's just hard to keep stars and have stars. And one, they only come around once in a blue moon. And then two, the guys are just a lot better now. So a guy can be a star and have everything going for him, but when you lose a lot of that. And that's just kind of the nature of the sport right now is, you know, like what football team just dominates year after year after year after year? That doesn't happen anymore just because all of the other football teams are really good, you know? And, no, I don't think it's in a recession. I just don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that doesn't make the NFL in a recession, right? Like you have the Kansas City Chiefs, they keep on winning, but now, you know, they didn't win the Super Bowl. Eagles won the Super Bowl, but NFL is still something that people still crave. So I wonder if, you know, when Ariel Helwani says this, do we look at it as a point that numbers are down or there's just nothing else to watch? Right? Like, and I agree with you. Like when it comes to the stars, you know, yeah, they only come once in a round, right? Like there hasn't been another GSP. There hasn't been another, you know, Brock Lesnar, the list just goes on. But does the stars generate the pay-per-view? Obviously they do generate the pay-per-view, but when he says a recession, I always think about a recession is a mindset, right? And
yeah,
I would have to get more context, but I wanted to, you know, like I said, earlier in the show, I asked you the same question, but it just came out again from Ariel Helwani, and I'm going to ask you the second time, like, are we in a recession again?
Well, I mean, if he's going to call MMA in a recession because the numbers aren't doing good, then yeah, I guess so for sure. But I don't really know, you know, like that's, I think, the definition of it. But I think that the numbers are probably low because it gets people outside of the scope of even casuals, people that haven't even heard of MMA or watch MMA at all. I'm sure still know who Conor McGregor is.
Yeah.
And that's just Conor McGregor being a huge superstar that just pulls more and more people into the sport. And yeah, of course we don't have any of those. I don't think right now. We have some that are close to it, but none that really like transcend things as far as Conor McGregor. So maybe what we had is we had a Conor McGregor stock spike, and then now things are kind of leveling out a little bit and being a little bit more realistic. And maybe it's less of a recession, but it's more of a, and it's just more of a, things are just getting back to being a little bit more flat just because Connor spiked everything so much. So, but I mean, I still get really excited about a lot of the fights. I still think that there's a lot of really good fighters out there, and yeah, but there isn't any really like super particular person to be super pumped about right now. But that can change in an instant too. So we'll see what happens. I'm really curious to see how Ilia Topuria does in his future. I really want to watch him and Islam fight, to be honest.
How do you think that fight go? How do you think that fight plays out, Islam versus Ilia Topuria? If they were to fight, because obviously we know Islam wants to go to 170 and he wants to fight for the 170-pound belt, while Ilia Topuria is at 155. And as I sit back, at first I was like, you know what? I think Ilia Topuria should fight somebody to earn the title shot. But then after listening to all his interviews and the things he said, and the UFC promised him a title shot, I was like, okay, give him a title shot. But then I look at Islam's part, and I'm like, Islam's fought two smaller guys. He's beat Volkanovski when Volkanovski was a champion. He beat him, and then he knocked him out. And that did nothing for his stock. It did absolutely nothing for him. So if he was to come up and beat Ilia Topuria, he's like, I just beat another smaller champion. That's all I did. Whereas he goes up, and then don't get me wrong, there's a huge risk there. There's a huge risk for Ilia Topuria to beat Islam. But if Ilia beats Islam, I think it's a lose-lose situation for Islam, right? Because if he beats Ilia Topuria, it's like, okay, I just beat another smaller champion who's coming up to try to be in a division. Or if I lose him, I lost to a smaller guy. But if he beats, there's that. But if he goes up and fights at 170, and if he's able to beat Jack Della, if Jack Della gets past Bilal Muhammad, then I think there's a little more of a storyline for this. So that's why I could kind of see Islam being in reserve. But let's say Ilia goes out there and just fucking just murks a contender like Charles Oliveira or Arman, then it's okay, he's a real deal. I would love to fight. You know what I mean? So how do you think that fight would play out?
Yeah, but do you see how complex it becomes when you start talking like legacy and clout? It's just like, so Islam doesn't gain any clout for beating Ilia. It's like, dude, I guess if you like living in that like complex of a way of thinking, that's okay. But also, if you lose, you lose. Yeah. Like, you weren't better than him. Who cares? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're no one's gonna give a shit about, I don't think, any of us in 15 years if we're lucky. So you're like, this legacy that you're trying to create isn't gonna last that long. Like, it's not gonna last into the history books as much as you think it is. Maybe it matters to you. Maybe it really matters to you that you took the right fights, you eliminated like risk, you didn't want to do this. Like, there's other things that maybe you're genuinely interested in doing, like going up to 170 or whatever, but there's also just the like, dude, if the fans want to see it, just do it, and if you're better than the guy, you'll win. And if you're not better than the guy, you'll lose. Yeah. And, like, anything outside of that, it's hard. It's really hard. Maybe I'm a dumbass, but it's really hard for me to wrap my head around why the other things are super important to people, like,
I think I
don't know.
I think for you, I think it'll give yourself enough credit, because when you look in the history books of some of the most amazing knockouts, or the most amazing knockouts where people walk off, you're in there, right? Like, when they show knockouts of the knockout you did against Frankie Edgar, or the fight you had with TJ Dillashaw, and how the fuck did you didn't win that fight? I mean, those are stuff that's going to be written in history books. And you look, like you said, 15 years from now, I think people are still going to look back on that like, holy shit, that was a badass fight. Holy shit, look at that flying knee that Corey hit on Frankie Edgar and walked off. Like, those are all things that are cemented in your legacy, whether you want to believe it or not. Right. And so,
no, I think that you're right about that. That's something that I sometimes forget. So thanks for pointing that out. That what we are actually doing is that we are inspiring people. And I think that that's important. Yeah. And I think that, and being like a great figure and having a bunch of great accolades and doing a lot of that stuff is a cool and inspiring thing. And I do think that will trickle into like the world being a better place and all of that stuff. So I do agree with you in that. If we view it from that point of view, my question would be is how many of the guys are actually genuinely doing it for like a altruistic, like better view than like, oh, I want to say that I'm undefeated. I want to go in the history books because that matters to me. Like that would, I guess, be where I get a little bit confused and just like, where is the motivation to not take on the toughest challenges and make the biggest risks? Like where, like what's the motivation behind not doing that?
Yeah.
I guess would be my question, you know, but you do have a good point.
Yeah. I think two points to that. I want to also say one more thing. For the risk, if let's say he does fight Ilia, right, and he loses, he will miss out on an opportunity to fight at 170. But if he just waits, I want to see what happens between Bilal Muhammad and Jack Della. And let's say Jack Della starts, murks Bilal Muhammad, then it opens the door for him because, you look at 170, you do have Shavkat, you do have, Joaquin Buckley, you do have some guys there, but I think he's going to get the opportunity to just be able to go there, right? He's built up to this point where it's like, this is what I want. I want this opportunity. Obviously, he could relinquish his belt like Ilia Topuria did to go to 170 and fight in that division and get there, but it's a faster way to that title fight, and it's a bigger money fight. And that's what I feel like for that. And the second thing I want to bring up too, we talk about your story. You never did any form of mixed martial arts up until you're 18 when you realized you were going to make it the NBA, right? And that is also very powerful because that's the same thing like my story. I wrestled in high school, but I didn't start doing any martial arts training until I was 18. So people could look at you, you can go in the history books as, okay, look at this guy who's been very successful, 5'11", never did any form of mixed martial arts whatsoever. And look what he's been able to accomplish. And he's top 5 in the world in 2025 when it's the most competitive part of mixed martial arts. You know what I mean? So you've already set yourself in the history books when you look at that, because in today's age, when you have, when you and your wife do have children, my children, I'm around all the other dads, is like they're all playing football at like 5 or 6 years old, and they want them to be the best football player, basketball player, and it's like that's not always the recipe to be great at a sport. It's just let your kid be an athlete and let them have fun. And then when they turn 18, and they're like, well, give me a different reference. Boom, look at Corey Sandhagen. He hasn't won a title yet, but he's still on the grind, but he hasn't done any form of mixed martial arts. And he started when he was 18, and he was a very athlete. He played basketball, et cetera, et cetera. So, baby, I'm just writing your legacy right now, Corey. That's all I'm doing, baby. I'm just giving you flowers. I'm flowers.
Hey, I like it. But yeah, I think that it makes sense if the point is to inspire. Mm-hmm. But I think that my idea of like the route that I want to take, there's two things that really, really matter to me. I really want to be a world champion, and I really want to inspire a lot of people. And I want to do that through fighting. I don't really want to be like a character or like a personality. Like, I don't really give a shit about a lot of that. I don't like want to do that. I don't want to do that shit. I don't want to do that. I don't want to inspire people by like my personality or my ideas. Yeah. I want to inspire people by the actions that I do. And to me, that doesn't mean like being a 10-time world champion or whatever. I mean, like that would be great if that's written in my story, then fuck yeah, I'm definitely aiming for that. But what I want to be my story is that like I took on like the challenges. I didn't really play the game of like figuring out how to do this in the best way that's going to set up my life. I want to just do this in a way where it's like, yeah, man, like who they told me to fight, I fought, and I was brave enough to do so, and I was better than some people, and I wasn't better than other people, and I wasn't ever afraid to lose, and I always went out to fight with the entirety of me, and for me to win, and that's what I did every single time, and that's what's inspiring to me. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's different for everyone. Those have always been the athletes that have attracted me the most. When I was growing up watching basketball, it was like underdog type of players, you know? And those were just the types of guys that I really liked. I liked guys that talked about how disciplined they were. I didn't really like the crazy characters that would, you know, drink and smoke and party and do all of that stuff. Those types of athletes weren't ever attractive to me. So I think I'm just trying to be the example to like me probably like 20 years ago. And that person, the titles and stuff aren't that important to like 20 years ago me. What's important is just rising up and being brave and, you know, facing all that stuff and doing it genuinely and not like making excuses and cutting corners and shit.
I love it. I love it, Corey. My man, Corey, I don't want to take too much of your time. This is your opportunity to let the fans know where they can find you, how they can, you know, support you, look out for your fight. The floor is yours, brother. Let them know where they can, you know, watch these beautiful skits. It's all you, man.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Corey Sandhagen MMA. I'm on Instagram, Corey Sandhagen MMA. I don't use Twitter. And yeah, just watch my fights. That's kind of what I care about the most. And if you like them, keep watching them. And yeah.
Well, boys, that is my man Corey, the Sandman Sandhagen. Make sure you check out his fights. He takes on Figgy at UFC Fight Night May 3rd. I'm super excited about it because I believe if he wins this fight, he's going to be the next person fighting for a world title against the winner of Merab taking on Sugar Sean O'Malley. I am your host, Demetrious Johnson. That is our guest, Corey. We'll see you guys in the next episode of the MIGHTYcast. Peace.